and welcome to Lost in Translationmon, episode 102. I'm May. And Jay's tired and not even able to talk, so this is going to be a fantastic podcast. And this time, we watched Now the Twins Shall Meet.
Or Darkness.
That's not annoying at all. And Operation Free Your Fanimon.
Or Decisive. Fanimon's Rescue. I don't know.
Apparently Jay falling asleep was the title of the episode. And I thought, I thought they were fine, but I guess we'll get to that.
That's the best way to describe it. It's fine. Guess it happened.
And just a quick bit of NewsLatelymon, because we don't really have any DigiNews. I will be on the With the Will podcast live Saturday 2 p.m. Pacific time, which is 7 a.m. Sunday our time. So tune in, it'll be live. With the Will Twitter will tweet about it and I will retweet that. So keep your eyes peeled for that. And yeah, 2 p.m. Pacific time. So also you could do a Google. That's 2 p.m. Saturday Pacific time. Yeah. And for weekly poll, which I really should stop saying in Lost in NewsLatelymon without actually discussing the episode, so maybe I should just only say it in the outro part rather than in Lost in NewsLatelymon.
Skip it.
Yeah. But anyway, so this will be the last time I do it, so...
No skipping it.
So this time it'll be evil dark spirits or good dark spirits. So this is like, Duskmon and Velgmon or Leomon and Kaiser Leomon, whatever they were called.
You got it, pretty much.
Jaeger Leomon.
Confusing.
And on to Obnoxious Synopsis. Okay. The first episode that we're watching this week is called Now the Twins Shall Meet, or The New Warriors of Darkness, Leomon and Kaiser Leomon. What do you think will happen in this episode?
I think that... Hold on. What happened to Koichi at the end of the last episode?
He was beaten and Koji got his spirit and then Koichi was just lying on the floor.
Okay, I'm thinking that, and this sounds really, really dumb, but Cherubimon is somehow involved and gives Koichi two spirits where he, you know how when you double spirit evolve, you combine your two spirits?
Uh-huh.
This will split him into two, and he'll become two different Digimon. And then they won't be able to talk and hash it all out.
Okay, so you think that they'll be evil. He'll be evil again.
Only for one episode, and then it will be back to the normal. It's basically filler, is what I'm thinking.
Okay.
Because Leomons die,
Oh yeah, that's fair. Do you think anything will annoy you in this episode?
Yes, if they waste all of our time by doing that.
Do you think it'll be a good episode?
No.
What rating?
5.
Filler or not filler?
I actually think it will be.
Oh, okay.
I know it says New Warriors of Darkness, and I'm really hedging a bet here, because it really doesn't sound like filler. I don't think a Kaiser Leomon will last more than one episode. Ice Leomon didn't.
Yeah, good point. Regular Leomon. Has regular Leomon showed up in this season?
No.
Oh, okay. The second episode we're watching this week is called Operation Free Your Fanimon, or Decisive Battle, Rose of the Morning Star of Fanimon's Rescue Plan. What will happen in this episode?
See, I sort of glanced down and seeing this is why I didn't think the last one would last very long, because this sounds like a totally different thing that's happening. Because now it's like, oh, okay, well, maybe the twins will meet. I don't know. Oh, maybe Koichi just gets abducted. But they're not talking about freeing him, it's just a Fanimon. Either way, they get to the Rose Morning Star in some manner, or they're about to get there and they get into a fight. That's the one!
Do you think anything will annoy you in this episode?
I don't know. I guess the question will be, why could a Fanimon communicate with them beforehand and not now? And it will be...
She has been communicating with him.
But they just said before, when they looked at their things and they were dark, they're like, oh, if anyone's not responding. What changed?
Oh,
it's probably
plot.
Nothing.
Yeah, that was just the plot, but she does communicate on and off with them.
I know. That's what I'm talking about.
Do you think anything will annoy you in this episode?
If it's all badly explained, or not explained at all, it never will be.
Do you think it'll be a good episode? What rating?
5.
Filler or not filler?
No.
Not filler?
It's not filler.
No, not filler. Anything else you want to predict or say?
I really don't. It's Frontier and I want to just leave.
Well, we're almost done.
No, we're not. We're 2/3 of the way, but there's a full third left.
Yeah, there's only 50 episodes this season, I think.
So many.
And they're going to do Savers. Aren't you looking forward to Savers?
I don't know anything about it.
Well, I've told you, he punches Digimon.
Yeah, I don't listen to when you say things.
Me neither. Alright, on to the rest of the show. Episode 33 starts off where episode 32 left off. And it's Koichi's on the ground, and he gets up, and he wonders what he's doing. And then Dakuya mentions Koichi and says that he's mentioned it before. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting. That supposedly Dakuya told the other people in the group about his experience when he went back to the real world. And of course, we didn't see him explain that, but it's just, I don't know, it's sort of like, oh, they don't have to show us everything.
I presumed it was lies. I thought it was them being like, how can we weave this explanation into a conversation easily? We'll just pretend he told them before. I don't think he's ever had an opportunity to tell him.
Well, maybe on one of the train rides that they've had.
They haven't been on any train rides, have they?
I don't know.
Hasn't he shown up and then they like walked through the desert and like Koji ran away immediately?
I know, I think I don't know, you're right, there's probably not that many moments when they would have had free time to speak, but...
In fact, I didn't think he'd even told anyone he'd been to the real world because no one's ever mentioned it. And I'm not saying that you have to show every conversation they've ever had, but I think that I went back home, also I went back in time, is a conversation that maybe you should put on camera.
Also, I was a Digimon. Also, there was another Koji there?
Yeah, and like, you'd think that the other characters would have had a reaction, and then when they found out he had a brother, they would also connect the dots. But no, nobody ever does, because he didn't tell them.
Yeah, and I actually agree with you here. It's nice when they don't have to have every conversation on camera, but in this circumstance, it would have been useful to have it on screen. But in the dub, he tells them for the first time.
There's a difference between, you don't have to have every conversation on camera, i.e. you don't have to explain something you've explained to one character to another character when they show up every time a new one shows up. That's fine, you can do that off screen, and that's fine because we've already seen it once.
Yeah.
But if you have an important conversation that's story relevant and that characters would have genuine, specific reactions to, put that on camera.
Yeah, no, you're
And since
you're
they didn't, one must assume it didn't happen.
Yeah, you're right. Well, the dub does fix this, but because they can't change the animation too much, the characters don't really react to it the way that they would, so it's kind of weird. That you'd think they would have a stronger reaction, but obviously because of the animation, they don't.
It's just a moment that feels like the writers forgot exactly what they've written before, and they're like, this is probably right.
That happens a lot in Frontier, to be fair.
It must be written week to week. Like, it feels like it has to be. Next episode is the most like that, and I'm going to be really upset right at the end of the next episode.
Well, we'll get to that when
Spoilers!
we get to it. So, Koji asks Koichi, and then what I really like in the original is that Koichi's theme starts playing again, which I really like. And we have a flashback, and then he mentions that after his grandmother told him about the fact that he had the brother, he found Koji and started to kind of like follow him around, but it was always too shy to talk to him. And this is something that we mentioned in the last podcast episode about how you said, how do we know the time frame? It seems that he was following him around, but it also seems that he ran straight to the train station after finding out. But, yeah, now we know. Okay, so the grandmother died and told Koichi that he had a brother, and then he spent the next maybe couple of weeks following Koji around.
Okay, so he's known for a few weeks.
Maybe, that's just my guess.
But also, like, he's meant to have been resentful this whole time.
I think it was building resentfulness because he went from, he's looking after his mother who is forcing herself to go to work just so she can feed him.
What does she do?
We don't know that we don't know
How
what
does she take injuries?
It's the fact that she goes to work when she's injured, she goes to work when she's sick, so I think maybe she's got back pain that he's treating, he's putting heat packs on. We don't know explicitly what he's doing.
Yeah. And
it would have been nice to know, this is your job as, I don't know, maybe a policewoman or something.
And, like, I don't know, so he's doing this, and then he's like, I was too shy to talk to him, and also I couldn't tell my mom, and also I couldn't go talk to my real dad, who was right there, and then...
He's shy. I think that's reasonable. The fact that he was shy and didn't know how to, like, say, oh, surprise, I'm your son.
That's one thing, to say, okay, the dad knows that he has another son.
Yeah, but
the dad's aware of that.
Yeah, but Koji's not.
Well, he wouldn't have said to Koji, I'm your son.
Maybe he doesn't trust his dad because his dad
never says it.
But no, I think
he's stating everything else.
I don't trust his dad because his dad possibly left the woman.
The moment this happened, one of them should have said, well, Dad surely knew. Why didn't he say anything? They should have already had that conversation, but no one has. I honestly think it's never going to get mentioned.
About what?
I don't think the dad's motivation is ever going to be mentioned. It's just a situation that occurred.
Oh, he's just a horrible person.
No, we don't know. But
the dad is just a horrible person. That's his motivation.
Objectively, I think that's true. I think when you look at the objective fact, I think within the show, it's just a thing that happened. Nobody's at fault. They just separated, and who knows?
I mean, it's really weird that it's sort of implied that Koichi's and Koji's father left their mother for another woman, but it's also it's also implied that the woman is the one he's married to. But I feel like they would have been married earlier if that's the case. If they've only been married 3 years.
Yeah, so they've been married 3 years. That means when he got married, Koji was like 7, 8.
Yeah, it's
8?
Yeah, 8. 8 is
So
probably...
3 years, and he's what,
Yeah.
11?
Yeah, I think he's 11.
God, it's weirdly young, because 11-year-olds don't function like this.
Yeah.
But whatever. So he would have been 8, which means he's got plenty of memory going on, which means... we're presuming that he left the mother 8 years earlier. That's how the brothers don't know each other, even though they're the same age. So something happened in that intervening time. Maybe he left it for this woman and just dated her for 8 years. But that's odd.
Yeah, that's kind of like, usually if you're with someone for that long and you're going to get married eventually, usually you get married. And, I mean, it could be that he then left that woman for another woman. But it's sort of, the show doesn't say that. It just says he left mum for another woman and you have a stepmom. So it's kind of like, you join the dots of like, oh, maybe it's the same one, but they were together for 8 years before getting married. That's just weird. I feel like what actually happened is the writer said, we have to make it sort of like, not really a comedic moment, but a moment of, you know, the lady at the flower shop going, 3 years?
But, like, the weird thing here, to me, is that, like, Koji loves his mom, though he's never met her.
Yeah, well, he's met her, but he doesn't remember her.
He remembers her enough that he cares about her.
Yes.
But he doesn't remember he has a brother.
Yes.
Who he would have spent an equal, if not more, amount of time with.
I think it's like that, you know, it's just that connection you have with your mum. It's that maternal connection that's just sort of like, oh, she's my mum and I love her, even though I've never met her.
Okay, you just have to understand, I'm sure you've already sort of gathered, and so does everyone else who's listening to me complain about this for 3 episodes straight, is that I'm looking at this from the most Occam's razor perspective possible. What is the simplest solution to how all of this came about? Is it an incredibly complicated story full of interconnected little moments that makes perfect sense if you look at it if you zoom out? Or was it written week to week and it's not connected and it's never going to be fully explained and it just doesn't make sense and you have to not think about it because they don't know?
I can't remember how much is explained, but a lot of the time it's sort of like you're not meant to think too hard about Frontier because some things don't make a lot of sense if you think about it, but if you, and I think I say this every week.
Bad storytelling.
Yeah, it is, but I'm just saying that Frontier is fine on the surface, but as soon as you get under the surface and you think about things, it's kind of like, it's not that great.
That's like saying this water looks clear, but it's poisonous, so you can't drink it.
Yes.
So just,
Frontier is poisoned water.
The thing is about this scene and all these flashbacks, and then they end up on the train afterwards. It feels to me that the writers have gone, well, we explained that!
Yeah, it
Aren't
is
you
like that.
satisfied, audience?
It is like that, and they do kind of jump scenes quite a bit in this episode, and things just sort of happen.
Because they go, beginning to end of Koichi's storyline is, he finds out he's a brother, and he ends up with amnesia. And that's the whole conversation, which implies he said everything he had to say.
Because he doesn't know what happened between falling down the stairs and ending up in the digital
No,
world.
I'm not saying that matters. That doesn't matter. Honestly, I don't think they have an idea of how that works, and I don't care. I will mention it again in just a second, but I think that the issues of, is the dad evil, right? Which we agree. Again, we agree that objectively, but the script never says it, and and it never even implies it, I don't think. Like, Koji falls down and he's like, oh man, son, are you okay? Like, he's just a nice dude. Everything we've ever seen of him was very reasonable, unless you read his tone in one scene.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't think he's meant to be bad. I think in their minds, it's just, oh, we have to write a twin brother in. What happened? The mother who's dead. No, she's still alive. Oh, okay, she's over here. She's got them. How does he not know? They separated when they were young. Isn't this one married for 3 years? Doesn't matter. No one's going to realize. Our audience is 8-year-olds. And they just don't care. They don't care.
Yeah, but if you think about it, the dad is an evil character.
I appreciate the mental gymnastics that you have performed to attempt to make sense of this.
He lied.
And it's entertaining.
He lied to his son and said, oh, by BT dubs, your mum is dead.
The mom lied to Koichi, saying that he doesn't have a brother.
Maybe that's because she's got too much pain.
Maybe she's evil.
Yeah, but she didn't say, oh, your dad's dead.
She might have.
Yeah, but I feel like Koichi would have said that.
She never... No, hold on. Koichi would have asked, where's my dad? Right? So I'm sure she told him that his dad was dead.
Then how did he know that they divorced?
Didn't. The grandma told him.
No, the grandma said you have a brother. He presumably already knew that they divorced.
When did that happen?
When they were kids. The parents got
No,
divorced.
not when did they divorce. I knew that. When did he find out that there was a divorce?
His mum probably mentioned when he said, "Hey,
but he
Mum,
never...
why don't I have a dad?"
I mean, when did it establish? When did the show establish that he knew there was a divorce before he knew he had a brother?
Because it hasn't been said otherwise.
But it also hasn't been stated that she didn't say his dad was dead.
Because, I mean, that is possible.
This
but
is
I
a
feel
coin
like,
flip, and you're saying it's that side because you think it's true.
I feel like Koichi would have said, oh, and my dad said that, and my mum said that my dad was dead, and that wasn't mentioned, so we have to just assume that we know what we've been told. And what we've been told is that Koichi's dad said, your mum is dead, and that's what we know.
I disagree with your reading of this as a certainty, but I don't disagree that it's a possibility.
Yeah, and all the grandma said was, oh, BT Dubs, you have a brother. His name is Koji. She didn't say anything about, like, oh, you also have a dad. By the way, he's not dead. And I feel like that would have been a thing. I feel like he just knew that his dad was off being somewhere.
I can't stand that the glue that holds this entire thing together, like, the gum and duct tape that's holding this car together is, oh, Koichi's really shy.
I love him. It's okay. It's fine. I love him.
If you removed that, the entire story, there is of it, like, if let's pretend it makes sense, it doesn't. But let's pretend it does. If he wasn't just, oh, he's a bit shy, the whole thing falls apart immediately.
Yes, but that's fine. I kind of like that he's shy, but it's in sort of like a different way that Koji's shy. Koji, he likes his own space, and he's just kind of like, he's rough around the edges. Koichi's really sweet, but he's also shy, and maybe he doesn't, it's not said that he likes his own company, maybe he loves being around people, but he's just shy in general, and I like how these different types of shyness is one that's like, he's kind of rough, he's a bit of a tsundere, and then we have Koichi.
The only way we've established that shyness is when he said, I was looking at the distance and I was a bit shy so I couldn't talk to you. That was it.
But also his personality when and we see this in the next episode.
I'm not sure.
In this episode, he's just sort of, he's sweet. He's a sweet little boy.
I think that is a similar situation for Ken. I mean, obviously Ken was also shy.
Oh, he's very much like Ken.
It was I've been a bad guy for a while, so I don't really know what to say. That doesn't necessarily inform a full personality. I can see where you're coming from.
No, but he is actually a lot like Ken, and that's what I always thought when I first watched this, is that he's very kind.
I mean, if you change his hair, he probably would look like Ken.
Yeah, well, didn't you say, oh, it's Ken?
Quick question.
Yeah?
Is his hair actually black, or is it always just the lighting on it?
I feel like both their hairs are black.
No, Koji's is blue. That's why I called him that.
Oh, yeah, Blue Man Group. I thought you were calling him Blue Man Group because he was wearing blue.
It's all of it. He's very blue. And I think when you're seeing the ghostly images of Koichi, it's like, it's blue. But most of the time when the camera's on him, it looks black. I can't tell if it's because his hair is actually different or it's just lighting trying to differentiate them.
I think it's lighting. Like, I'm pretty sure they've got the same
sense.
hair color. I'm pretty sure I've seen them, like, in the same shot with the same lighting, and they've got the same hair color.
More or less. So, basically, I don't think that they've thought this through.
Yeah, but we'll go back to some differences that are in these scenes. So, when Koichi's talking to his mum about her work, and he's sort of maybe putting these heat patches or bandages on, they're just white blocks that he's putting on her. And he asks her, hey, why do you go to work when you're sick and when you're injured? And she says, I need to go to work so I can provide, so I can't take time off.
So what she's actually saying is, Japan has really bad employee relations and workplace laws. I
mean, like, Australia's got, we get 10 sick days off. That's pretty decent. Other places don't have that.
Plus annual leave.
Yeah, but other places tend to just, like, I'm pretty sure it's in America and
America's
England.
really bad.
You have your vacation leave. That covers, that's your sick leave and your annual leave.
And that's, what, 2 weeks a year?
Yeah, we get
4 weeks a year.
4 weeks, and then we get 10 days sick days, so we get another 2 weeks.
So there's 6 weeks a year where it's presumed you're probably not going to be working.
Yeah.
And all of that stuff carries over if you don't use it.
Yes.
Which you thought they didn't?
Yeah, well, no.
Because your boss lied to you?
No, he didn't know. So
he was just wrong.
Annual leave rolls over, so if you don't use your annual leave, you just get more and more annual leave, and then if you've been working for, like, I think it's like 5 years, you get more annual leave, you get like a long service leave, yes.
It's technically after, okay.
You unlock it.
Okay, the legislation says 15, but then it really means 10, but you get access to it at 7.
Yes.
It doesn't make any sense, but it's after about 7.
Yeah.
Also, sorry guys, I'm a workplace lawyer, more or less.
Yes, yeah, so
well,
Jake
I'm not
thinks
admitted
about this
yet, but it's what I do for work, so I think about this a lot.
Yeah. So I'm not sure what Japan's like, what they have to do. They have sick days, or if it's just Australia being weird.
It's probably really bad.
Yeah. So in Australia, and sometimes you don't even need a medical certificate, which is basically just a thing saying a doctor signs it and says this person is sick.
Yeah. Okay. You only need a medical certificate if your employer asks for one.
Yes,
But they usually do.
it was usually we used to just trust, and then like too many people taking sick days, and then they kind of just said, yeah.
Well, that's your workplace.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. It's my workplace, but you know, if you're actually sick, it's a pain going to the doctor if you're sick because you don't want to do anything if you're sick. But it's just sort of that bit of thing saying, yeah, I actually had to go to a doctor. A doctor said, yeah, you're sick.
Except there's lots of doctors that just say like, you just say, hey, can I get a certificate? And they're like, are you coughing? And they're like, yeah. And then they sign whatever.
Yeah.
And because all it needs to say is this person is not suitable, like is not fit to work today,
Yeah.
it doesn't need to say anything else. And the workplace can't ask any questions about it because of doctor-patient confidentiality.
Yes.
It just, this is my piece of paper. And people have gotten those to like go to football games in a different state.
Oh, jeez.
Or to go with their family on holidays on the weekend.
Yeah, imagine having like a doctor in your family. You can just say, hey, can you just write me a medical certificate?
If it's in the family, I think there might be ethical issues at play. I mean, there are ethical issues anyway if they just give you one without, like, you actually being sick. But if it's in a family, I think they're probably going to be losing their license soon.
Yeah, no, that's fair. But it's, I mean, and especially during flu season, trying to get in, and you need the medical certificate has to be dated for that day.
Yes, it
you
does.
can't go the day after. You have to go for that day because they can't write things in the past. They can say,
They can't
okay,
backdate them.
I can give you a week, starting from that day, but they can't go in the past. They can go in the future, but they can't go in the past.
I have seen one where someone brought in a medical certificate where they had crossed out
no.
the date on it and they'd written in their own date.
That's so sus. Anyway, but the hard thing is, you know, if it's flu season, getting in at like, you know, kind of late notice is very difficult. And like I once had to call like 3 different doctor's offices, and I finally found one. I was kind of like, hey, I'm really sick and I need a medical certificate. I just need some, and you know, everyone's sick. Everyone's sick, so they're taking up all the spots. So that can be hard. But the point is, Australia's got a good policy with that, and I guess this episode implies that Japan does not. So
we presume.
Yeah.
I'm not doing the research.
In the dub, it seems that her job won't let her have time off and they need her, instead of her in the original saying, oh yeah, I have to go in, like I have to provide.
Now she's a powerless person rather than a moral person.
Yeah, so it's kind of like she's like this martyr in the original. Like she doesn't want to take days off because she has to provide, and in the dub it's like, no, she's you know, she's a victim.
Well, I mean, you can be a victim and a martyr at the same time.
Yeah, she's essentially a victim in both, but she's like, I know it's weak as this. She's like, oh no, I would like to have days off, but I can't because my job won't let me because they need me.
Yeah, so she's being... In the English, it gives Koichi the most reason he has to be angry at anyone is at her employer.
Yes.
Whereas you can understand why he would feel guilty about the way her life sort of turned out when she's trying to raise him alone.
Yeah, because, you know, she just has... He has the mum and the grandmother, and that's basically his family, and the grandmother's clearly not well, and his mother's clearly not well. So and that's what I was saying earlier about why he's possibly upset with Koji, is that Koji's got this good life with the mum and the dad and the dog, and they're going for walks and they're hanging out, and, you know, no one's forcing themselves to go to work even though they're very injured or unwell.
You know who is truly at fault here?
The dad?
No, the mom. She should have gotten remarried. The dad did.
Maybe she didn't want to.
Well, then this is her choice.
I mean, we've seen in other scenes that she's very
I'm playing
upset.
devil's advocate here. I don't really believe that.
I know, but I'm just saying, we've seen in other scenes that she's very upset about everything. Like, she's depressed.
Well, she looked kind of sad, and he drew a conclusion about that.
Well, she was also silent, but maybe she
could have
couldn't
just
hear
been
him.
tired.
Because and that's very much a possibility that she could have just been exhausted and not able to talk, because that happens. And then Takuya asks if Koichi got on the train, and Koichi says that he can't remember, and he remembers feeling lonely in a strange world.
So he went from falling down the stairs to in the digital world. And I think that the show is going, that's our explanation! And I'm here like, no, it's not!
There is something. There is something.
Okay, so there is an in-between. We will find out.
I'm pretty sure.
I think this is it.
No, there is a reason why he just went from one place to another.
Alright, I look forward to it.
Yeah. So in the dub, Takuya says that Koichi didn't get on a train, which kind of doesn't really make sense, because how does Takuya know that Koichi didn't get on the train? He didn't see him. He saw him run down some stairs. He doesn't know if he made it or not.
I think because he made it down and all of the trains left. When
Yeah,
all the kids went, and he saw that, and he never saw Koichi again.
How can you say that, but we're not shown that, but you're able to argue
We
for
are
it?
shown
But
that.
in other things, we're not really... No, but we're not shown that Takuya knows that Koichi's not there. He could have ran
I'm not
fast down the
saying-
stairs. He could have caught another
Okay,
lift.
I'm not saying that those are the facts that exist, as in, like, it definitely didn't get the train, he definitely whatever. I'm saying it makes sense for Takuya to say this, because this was his experience, which we were shown. So that was his understanding of the circumstance. I get that. That's fine.
Yeah, no, that's fair. So then Koichi said that he thought that he was dead and that he was in the afterlife. And he said he got really mad because his family chose Koji, and this is kind of nice that the dub added this in, this extra little bit about how he's saying he has all this hatred because, yeah, he's mad that Koji got this lovely, ideal family.
Ooh, I've been stewing about this for 2 whole weeks.
Yeah.
I've been consumed my entire life being the 2 weeks it took the writers to think of me.
2 weeks? You're a bit generous. So the kids go into the Venus Rose on the train, and Patamon says he can feel her Fanimon, and Bokumon says that he can feel her presence, and Patamon says, "What's presence?" And this is so cute, how Patamon keeps on asking what words are. It's so cute.
Animation error.
Yeah, so you must have seen that. So we got tweeted an image. I believe it was from Stephen Reeves.
So
Let's go
Koji's
double
sitting
check.
on the train.
Koichi.
So Koichi's sitting on the train, and he's got his feet are meant to be on the ground, but there is a chair in the foreground, sort of in front of him.
Yes.
But his feet are on top of it somehow, which it's without him bending his body or stretching. He's somehow got his feet like 10 feet away down the train.
Yeah, no.
And now he looks tiny.
Yeah, it is Stephen Reeves on...
He's so small.
Who's WildWing64 on Twitter.
On the tweeters.
And that's because I was about to say, I retweeted this. And yeah, he looks so weird. It's like, he's a small Koichi. And so, yeah, I didn't notice this, but I'm amazed that someone noticed it. But that is not a nice animation error. So, yeah. And then...
Can we establish, by the way, that now that we're sort of in the train and we've gone past all that stuff, the title in Japanese is really misleading.
What do you mean?
Never the twins shall meet. They just had a big talk.
Yeah.
Because the first thing that happens is Koji like, let's talk! And Koji's like, and I'm thinking, oh, this is where he like, oh, I'm still evil. No, let's just have a big talk and we're meeting. And we're on the train now.
They're friends now.
So, not only it's not the twins shall never meet. They met right now and now they're friends.
But it sounds good and it's a reference.
Is it?
Yeah, it's like never the ends will, I don't know, something about, I don't know.
I mean, it sounds familiar, but I don't know.
I feel like it's a famous line, but we're too thick to remember or understand. So yeah, they're on the train, and when Bokumon's talking about presence in the dub, Bokumon says that Patamon's perceptive, and Patamon's like, "Oh, wonder what I'm sensing." But I just feel like I really like in the original how Patamon is wondering what words are, because he wouldn't know these words because he's a baby.
He knows a lot of words that he shouldn't know.
But it's cute, so shut up.
Who taught him any words?
He's a Digimon. They always know words. They just don't know big words.
Presence isn't a big word.
It is for little babies.
No, it isn't.
The concept of presence.
I'm sure he said 3-syllable words before.
Yeah, it's like the concept.
The concept of presence is just the same concept as over there.
Yeah, I know, but kids maybe not grasp that. But no, I think it's cute, alright?
Someone taught him a Japanese kids rhyme. Except no one did.
Okay, good point. It is cute, though.
It's just a cute thing. There's no reason
up.
for
it's
it.
so cute, though.
Stop making excuses.
Junpei says that Koji and Koichi look alike, which, like, no, duh.
Well, no one's told him.
Yeah. And Tomoki says, of course they do. They're twins.
He's like, what?
And Junpei's like, what? But they look so alike. He never gets that. Azumi then says that, to think that Duskmon was Koichi's brother the whole time. Like, wow. Then Trailmon stops because he's hungry, so Bokumon feeds him and says that it's because he was just born, which I really like this. In the dub, it's just saying how chocolate's important, which I agree with. But I prefer it in the original, how he's just saying, oh yeah, well, of course you're hungry and of course you're tired because you are a baby Trailmon, effectively. And this is how Trailmon they don't have eggs. They just come out of other Trailmon.
So, I guess one thing here is we've never seen any Trailmon have to eat before, so this is new. No, have to, as in, like, they ran out of energy.
Oh, yeah.
I thought before that was a wacky thing that it enjoyed doing. Like, but more importantly, how does a Trailmon eat normally without someone coming in to feed it? How does this ecosystem work?
It crashes into things and just starts chewing.
How does it crash into things? So it has to hope things will be on the
Yes.
tracks? Does that mean that
It
they're
crashes into
sitting
walls.
there on the tracks waiting to ambush something?
Yes.
They're hiding somehow?
Yeah. You know, they hide behind
What?
like a bridge, and then there's a cow goes over the bridge, and the Trailmon goes, nyum.
None of them have cow catchers on the front, as far as I'm aware.
But maybe it's only with baby ones. I'm not sure. Maybe they just die when they're young because no one can feed them.
And then they become baby ones again, that are just even smaller.
No, they need to go to the Togemon kindergarten.
They can't fit on the tracks.
Yeah, they're just like, nyum. Yeah, very small. Well, clearly this one fitted on the tracks perfectly, so.
It's my first day at school! And this train with the toast in its mouth crashes through the wall of the kindergarten.
I'm late.
Just imagine that like weird Evangelion episode at the end, but it's a train.
Nyum. And then he crashes into Shinji and kills him. Get in the train, Shinji. Good riddance.
Yeah, good riddance.
Anyway,
God.
so back to the episode, I guess.
Aww.
Junpei doesn't want to involve himself in the matters of the brothers, and Takuya goes in and sees if he can help Koji, and Junpei thinks that Koji won't appreciate it. But Koji actually sort of does, and he says that he doesn't know about being a brother, so Takuya mentions that he himself is not a good brother. In the dub, Takuya talks more about how his brother is a pest and how he should be nice to him, but then says, but he's a pest though.
Would you agree that in the Japanese, he more or less recites the flashback he had before? It's the same conversation. The only thing is there was no flashback, and it was less specific.
Which one?
Well, he has the flashback to, like, he's fighting with his brother in the video game, and the brother brings him an umbrella.
Oh yeah.
It's the same conversation. Having a brother is like this is my
Yes.
experience of it.
But it's sort of like a bit more tact, and it makes more sense in context, and
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
slightly more
mind. I
tactful.
don't mind that it's the same sort of thing because it's in a different circumstance, and he's just saying it again because this is all Takuya knows. Takuya's not, a really, bright person, I guess.
I know it was a couple episodes ago now, and it was a week ago for us, but you have to think, when you say different circumstance, it was 40 minutes ago.
Yes, but he's not literally trying to kill his brother now, is he?
So I'm saying, if we had this conversation right now, and 40 minutes from now, we have literally the same conversation, you'll know.
Yeah.
You'll be like, didn't we talk about that already?
Yeah, I know, but it's not like completely word for word, is it?
Well, the English one's not.
Tomoki and the others come in, and Tomoki says that his brother is a university student, so this is where we find out, which means that he is a terrible... You know how we were talking about how he's, Tomoki's older brother is a decent character when he was first introduced?
Uh-huh.
Because we thought he was, 15, and then we shortly after found out, oh no, he's in university, and now this confirms that he's in university. He's really just not nice.
Then the English, he's like, he's mean to me, and I think he does it for my own good, but I still hate it. It's like, okay, you learned nothing.
And in the original, it's actually quite sweet. He's saying, my brother's in university, so he doesn't really have time to play with me. But then again, it's my fault because I've never actually asked him.
That's interesting.
That shows a lot of perspective for a little 8-year-old to say, yeah, I just assume he doesn't want to play with me. I haven't actually ever really asked him. Maybe he does want to hang out with me, even though I'm, much younger than him. And I think that's really cute. And Junpei says that he doesn't have any siblings, but he'd like to.
I love that because he's the first one to say something like that. I think Azumi's the same.
Yeah, Azumi says that she wouldn't want a little brother or sister with the same personality, but little sister would be nice. And then in the dub, it's kind of like the opposite. She says, oh, I don't want the responsibility unless they turn out just like me.
I just love the idea that Takuya goes, this is what my little brother is like, this is my experience, this is what being a brother is like. Tommy goes, I have an older brother, this is what that's like, this is my perspective. Junpei's like, I don't have a brother!
Yeah.
I'm so helpful!
I know, I feel like...
He's so happy about it!
In this situation, Junpei and Azumi shouldn't have spoken. But don't you find it weird that Azumi's line is reversed? I know, I just think it's really weird. It's completely opposite. It's like, yeah, I wouldn't want to be around someone who's just like me. And in the dub, it's like, I will only like them if they're like me.
Well, because they'll be quiet and not want to hang out, and that's fine. She'll work with that.
But it's sort of like, it has this weird sort of like, oh, Izumi doesn't like herself. I know, it's interesting.
It's not, you don't have to... Just because you don't want to be around someone who's like you doesn't mean you don't like yourself. You can be aware, you can like yourself, but also be aware your personality is not necessarily compatible with a mirror version of it.
I don't know, I think it's an interesting thing to say.
I'm not super sure that I would be great hanging out with myself. I think that would get really loud really quickly.
Yes, oh my gosh.
So that's what I'm saying. I think I'm great, but I don't know if I want to be talking to another one of me.
Patamon then says the best line, which is, I would like a brother. In the dub, it's brother or sister. And then Neomon says, go for it. And Bokumon says, don't ask the impossible. And in the dub, Neomon says, better get busy. And Bokumon says, what exactly are you saying? It's so cute.
Your alternative joke there is, if only.
Aww. And I love Bokumon and Neomon. They're continually the best characters.
For sure.
Takuya says that there are different ways to be a brother, so he should just try whatever works. And then he's like, what was it called? And then Junpei says, it's trial and error. So Junpei finally says something that people appreciate in this conversation.
He filled in a common phrase for them.
Yep. And yeah, that last bit was word for word in the dub. But it's nice. It's got this sort of like, Takuya saying, yeah, we just have to try whatever works because everyone's different. I like that. Meanwhile, Koichi's wondering why they're forgiving him, even though he was trying to kill them before.
Screw that, though. How about that eye catcher, though?
Yeah, I noticed that too. Wow, that's really annoying if you don't know things.
I was like, oh, they added Koichi. That's really cool. Oh, that's just his evolution, huh? I guess that's happening this episode. And then I instantly connected dots and I said, oh, I predicted this way wrong.
Well, we did get this in the start of the season when we had the characters evolving, that we would have the eye catcher spoil what the evolution was going to be for their human spirit.
But it's different because we already knew what this guy's looked like. So when you saw that, you go, oh, something is going to happen first.
Yes.
Then this is... So it took all the punch away from the purification, and you were just waiting for it to happen now?
Well, I think the dub does this fine because, yeah, there's no eye catcher, there's no names in the title, so it's kind of surprising when he's able to evolve.
To be fair, the names in the title, I was fooled by it. It didn't mean much to me. So, like... Wait, hold on. Aren't the names in the title... Is it... No,
it's the New Warriors of Darkness, Leomon, and Kaiser Leomon.
Oh, Ne'er the Twin Shall Meet is the English one.
Yeah.
That makes no sense at all. Alright, fair enough. Alright,
yeah,
cool.
The English title is... It doesn't make sense, but it doesn't have spoilers. And it should be surprising. Maybe I should have got you to watch the English version first. I don't know.
I think you might... you might... You know what? I wouldn't have had the reaction to... This is just a big spoiler! What is this?
Yeah, it's so annoying
God, Japan doesn't care at all!
It's not as bad as when in previous seasons of Digimon where we had the title cut at the start of the episode and we'd just have a look at the Digimon that's coming up, like, oh, okay.
No, but at least theirs was silhouette. This was like, look at him! Look at him!
Tamers wasn't.
Look at him twice!
Tamers was just outstretched.
The stretchy.
Yeah, because remember there was...
I had to skip them.
Yeah, no, that was... Yeah,
Put your pinkies in the air if you don't give a frick.
Police sirens. So Patamon approaches Koichi and says that light and darkness are brothers, and wherever there's light, there's darkness. And so he shouldn't hate himself for being the darkness. In the dub, it's the same, but he adds on that darkness isn't a bad thing unless you make it so.
In the center of the sun, there is no darkness because it's all light.
Yes.
And in a perfectly pitch black room, there is darkness and no light. So screw you, Patamon, you're wrong.
Don't say that. That's mean. It'll hurt Patamon's feelings.
Good.
Koichi thanks him, and then Patamon senses something strong and scary, and Trailmon crashes into Cherubimon, as you do. And Cherubimon's very large, and they all evolve to their strongest, except for Junpei, who evolves to Blitzmon for some reason. And I don't know. I mean, maybe it's because he's faster and he moves better, but it's just Borgmon's stronger. My
favorite thing is they all evolve, and the really long one is next episode, but this one's pretty long. And they all get out and they're like, haha! And then Cherubimon just boots the Trailmon so hard, he just flies off into the distance.
Bye-bye.
Team Trailmon's blasting off again!
I kind of wanted Neomon to just go, bye! Because I could totally imagine him doing that. Blitzmon says that they should do a fusion attack that they came up with Chakmon, and I think this is clever, but
he's like, no, don't try that.
Sorry, not Chakmon, Blizzarmon. And Cherubimon launches back the axes, and Ardamon blocks them and says he's not their usual enemy, so they can't just fuse their attacks.
Can we talk about how what actually happened was Cherubimon fired axes at his nipples?
Yes.
That's what happened.
Yeah, that is what happened. And then, of course, because Takuya just says, hey, this isn't like our usual enemies, we can't just do that sort of thing, he says, I know what we can do.
I'll throw one attack that isn't even a combination.
Yes. No, I think he asks
he says
Koji to attack too.
Koji, you attack as well, but it's separate.
Yeah.
I'll throw mine, then you throw yours and see what happens. And then he does the most annoying, and I really think this might be the worst shonen trope that exists.
Yeah.
It's I've just hit the bad guy with an attack,
and
there's a big smoke cloud, and it's, we got him, it's over, he's definitely dead. Oh my god, he's not dead!
This once, I would like to watch a shonen anime where that happens, and then, the smoke passes and he's actually dead, and the character goes, oh, he's actually dead.
Isn't that bit in that wrestling match we watched where the guy lies down, which is like going to move to trip someone who's running, and the guy actually tripped over, and he's like, that's never happened before.
But so I just want someone to subvert that trope, because I've seen it in every shonen anime and manga, and the whole sort of like, we attack this really powerful enemy, we have defeated, oh no we haven't, whoops.
Oh, he's so strong.
He's so strong. And so that didn't work.
We should also note, very, very important,
Yep.
he takes both of the fusion Digimon's attacks, and like, you have to imagine damage is cumulative, because that's how it really works, but so he's not healing between attacks, but either way, he takes them both in the face, and just stands there and is like, that was interesting. Not fazed by it at all. Mm-hmm. We have to establish that for what happens in 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, when he completely exploded. I like to think that he had a reason for that.
No.
So in the dub, he says he's going to try something that might get a bit messy, and that they have to do more than just that to defeat Trubimon. When that doesn't work, Zephyrmon suggests doing something lest they want to be squashed like beetles, and Beetlemon says thanks for the image. And this was instead of them just flying and being in silence. So thanks, dub. Beowulfmon protects Koichi when Trubimon does this big attack. In the dub, Neomon asks if Trubimon wants a rematch. This is important. I love him. Trubimon asks how Koichi was defeated so easily by these kids since they're so weak. And I just want to go on the record that I absolutely adore Trubimon's English voice.
I can't even remember it.
It is so good. It is so perfect. It is so grumpy. I love it. I feel like there's some good voice acting there. I think we should praise Frontier for at least one thing.
Why doesn't the Purple Storm zap Beakmon and Tolmon?
Because who would want to do that?
Cherubimon?
No, you wouldn't want to hurt Bokumon.
What about Patamon, who he hates?
Maybe he doesn't know that Patamon is Serafimon.
I'm pretty sure he must know.
I don't know. So Koichi runs up to him and asks him why he used him, and Trubimon says that the spirit chose its partner because his heart held such a powerful darkness, and Trubimon says that he tested it on many Digimon, but none worked, but a human has the power of darkness. In the dub, he offered it to the Digimon instead of testing it. So it seems so much more harsh. Like, in the original, it seems that he forcibly tested this on Digimon who were unwilling. In the dub, it's like, oh yeah, I offered it to them. I just said, hey, do you want this spirit? And maybe they tried it and it didn't work.
Did you consider during the scene that everything Trubimon was saying was lies?
It could be.
Because, like, Koichi's like, and everyone's like, oh my god, it's exactly what he's saying. Like, has no one thought that the bad guy might not tell the truth?
Well, I think we established in Digimon that the bad guys, for some reason, are very truthful.
They're very honest, most of the time.
Except for Vamdemon, who said, y'all have fake crests of light.
What?
Which one's the real one? Lol.
What?
When Vamdemon was all like, you all have crests of lights, but there's a real one, and the real one gets destroyed, and then it turns out that wasn't the real one, because Vamdemon's a liar.
Oh, yeah.
That's the only time a Digimon villain has lied. Every time, they're perfectly honest people.
That, like, great 100-card Monty he played? That was fun.
That is why the main bad character in all of Digimon is Koji's father.
What? Why is...
Because he lies.
He lies. No, but I mean, that's not the same kind of... Vamdemon lied by, like, pretending to be Oikawa.
Yes, that too.
That's why he's the Lord of Lies. That's why he's the main bad guy of all Digimon.
The best worst bad guys in Digimon are Vamdemon and Koji's father.
We rank all of the bad guys, and Koji's dad is number 2.
Yeah. I mean, like, all the other ones, they're very honest. Edamon was always very honest with his intentions. He was kind of like, you're kind of like pests, but I'll kill you because you're in my way.
I cannot wait for the end of the season where they go and they talk to the dad and the big, and then our family had a big reunion and my dad divorced his new wife, who I hate, and got together with my mom, and now they're in love again because it's a kid's show.
I know that doesn't happen.
I'm pretty sure it does.
No, but he's the main baddie. But no, I'm just noticing this now that...
I would love if he was Lucimon.
How many no, I'm actually trying to think about how many bad guys have actually lied. I guess Impmon, if we count him, said that he didn't care about humans.
Doesn't count.
I know, but he's not really a bad guy.
Because I think the issue with that is that most bad guys are never in like a necessarily talking situation. Mostly they're just there to fight. Like
Yes.
Devimon, Edamon, all the Dark Masters, Apocalypse, none of those needed to fight. So no, needed to talk to win.
Yes.
Only Vamdemon ever like needed to do anything like that.
But he mainly lied to his mooks.
Really, you calling them mooks?
I
President like book?
Mooks.
There you go.
I feel dumb when I say mook, even though I know that's the way you
No,
pronounce it.
it's a dumb word because it describes dumb.
Mook.
It describes dumb thugs.
But no,
These mooks.
who else lied? Vamdemon and Cody's dad. There we go. They're very honest.
I guess Oikawa did for a while, but he was just Vamdemon,
Yeah, he was
so
Vamdemon.
that doesn't mean much.
And
The D-Reback couldn't lie.
yeah, because they're also very informative, these bad guys. So I'm going to drop all this exposition before I kill you. I've never understood that in any media, where the bad guy's just like, oh, I could kill you, but instead, exposition.
The bad guy in my book might do that.
You shouldn't. It's the most annoying thing, and I'm a big fan of subverting tropes, and I say that a lot because it's true. And there's just all this sort of situations in media
I do it.
where the bad guy's standing there over the good guy. The good guy's been weakened and can't move or is tied to something, and the bad guy will say, "This is my plan. To destroy the world or to take control of everything or." I don't know, whatever the bad guy wants to do. And the good guy's just they're being helpless. And then the bad guy says, exposition, 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 plot, 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 plot. And then during that time, some other good guy has broken in to rescue the good guy, or the good guy has had a revelation or is able to distract them, or in Digimon's case, they've something that the bad guy has said has inspired them, so they're able to activate an evolution, and this is exactly what happens.
Yeah. Well, the thing is about that trope is that there's only two bad versions of it, I think. Mm-hmm. Is version A is the good guy literally didn't know that. You've just given away your plan that he didn't know and could only have learned by you telling him.
Yes.
Which is really lazy writing, but doesn't happen in mine. Or alternatively, you do not have the basically, I think if you're monologuing like this, it should be to explain yourself. It shouldn't be, haha, I'm evil. It's look, I did this because of this. It's really sad you have to die. Because people like to talk to people. That's fine. But if it allows, if the bad guy doesn't have 100% certainty that they've won, so you can say whatever you want because it's over. And so it's not about them making a decision. It just is what it is. I'm defending myself basically.
But it just feels like Cherubimon in particular, he's like a murderous, at least in this evil form. He's murderous, doesn't really think much, is kind of bloodthirsty. Why does Cherubimon as a character talk instead of just saying, well, we know it's a projection, but presumably projections can cause some damage.
True.
We've seen that. Why doesn't he just grab another lightning bolt? They're all humans at the moment, and just impale them.
He was just talking to Koichi, right?
Yes.
Well, you would imagine, and next episode this will make no sense, but you would imagine that his plan then is to get Koichi to work for him and then turn on the other kids again. That seemed to be what he was going for, right?
I think he just wants people on his side.
Well, no, but he goes, you're angry at that guy. Darkness fits you. That's the same tactic he's used before. Yes. So he was trying to get Koichi back on his side to turn on them.
Yes.
And presumably kill them.
Yes.
Great. It's good that we've established that.
Okay, I know. I see your point, but I feel like...
It makes perfect sense why he said it. Especially because it could be lies.
I know, but when it wasn't working, I would have just said, okay, I'll kill you.
He should have been open to that, I agree. But he wasn't, and I don't know why.
I just feel like in Digimon, the bad guys are too nice.
Oh,
Except for Puppetmon, who wanted to shoot a kid, but he was always very honest.
I think the Dark Masters, especially Piedmon and Puppetmon as examples, were the best versions of, I will not kill these kids despite the fact that I could. Because they both had perfect reasons not to.
Because, Piedmon didn't have to. Puppetmon just wanted to have fun.
Piedmon needed it to be a show.
Yes.
Because he's a jester and a clown, and he needs it to be dramatic.
It's weird seeing you get excited about
His
Digimon.
life is about it being dramatic. So you're like, yes, I get it. And then with Puppetmon, he just wants to... He was evil in that he didn't have any morals, but he wasn't like... He was part of the Dark Monster because it was fun.
Yeah, he wasn't bloodthirsty.
He was there to have fun.
Like Machinedramon, bloodthirsty.
Yeah.
Metal Seedramon, probably a little bit bloodthirsty.
More of a surfer.
Yeah, kind of like a surfer dude. He's just sort of saying, well,
Weakest of the four.
This is my job. I think Machinedramon died quicker. quicker, though.
No, yeah, he died quicker, but he was like, I mean, as characters go,
He was more dangerous.
Even just like, I think the Metal Digimon was the most like random, I'll throw mooks at you, and
Yeah.
everyone else was like, I will get involved and I will mess you up.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're nostalging
But
about
the thing
adventure.
is, Dark Masters are probably my favourite bad guys.
I think they're probably the best.
Because, they have actual... It's like the writers realised how to write for the last couple of episodes.
Just a bit.
But with Frontier, I don't know, Truimon could have had more death in mind, or kill the kids first, and then try to get the dude to turn and join his army. I don't know.
Yeah, there's lots of circumstances where it would work.
he has enough power to kill them.
Oh, easily. And it's sort of mentioned next episode, but it doesn't make sense with what he was just trying to do, because we did establish he was trying to turn Koichi again. So we'll talk about that then, because I'm going to talk about it for 20 minutes.
Oh no. And so Trumon tells him to accept the darkness inside him. Koichi says that he accepts it, but it's in the past.
And he goes, I accept it. And everyone goes, oh, like he's just turned on us. And he's like, oh no, but I'm fine. Oh, that wasn't super obvious at all, was it, guys?
Yeah. I mean, if you're like 8, you probably could be like, oh no.
Well, I'm not
because we're grown-ups and watching this, we're like, well, of course he's not going to turn. We saw the eye catcher.
Yeah! Oh my god! Oh, every time!
Well, like, because the eye catcher...
Japan!
Thanks, Japan. I mean, I would have been annoyed if he turned out to be evil again. But, would I? If they could write it well, I think they could.
Would I?
If they could do it well, I think it'd be fine.
Would I?
Anyway, so Koji yells out for his brother, and then the powers of love, I guess, activates his D-scanner, and it shines a light, and Koichi's given his spirits back and his black Digivice, and in the dub, Koichi narrates this whole thing, and he says how he's not afraid of the pain and the darkness anymore, because the darkness doesn't have to be evil, and then he gets a really cool evolution, actually.
Yeah, his hand goes all like fuzzy.
Yeah, but he moves it up in the air, kind of like, remember Duskmon's attack?
Yeah.
How he was doing the big Sailor Moon thing?
Koichi.
So I think that, obviously, like they said, all the other kids have very boring animations. Let's up this one.
It's the most obvious joke in the world.
What?
It's Sailor Dark Side of the Moon.
Oh. So Leomon's still Leomon in the dub, but Kaiser Leomon becomes Jaeger Leomon. It's like a Jaeger bomb, but it's with...
They have to tell the audience, this one's not gonna die, okay?
It's a Jaegermon.
I think it would be really funny if Koichi died right before he
Yeah,
went back to the
you're
real
right.
world.
I think it'd be really funny if a kid died.
No, okay, the reason I say that is twofold.
2K17.
It's twofold. A, because Leomon would have died then, and that would be really funny, and that gives us a 100% kill rate on Leomons. 100%! That's amazing! And more importantly, because from Koji's perspective then, nothing has changed.
Oh.
When he goes back to the real world, we never have to resolve it if he's dead.
Yeah, he goes back to his terrible, terrible father.
Or better, Koji dies, and Koichi takes his place.
Why?
And he's like, this is the family I always wanted.
Yeah, suck it, mum, who's forcing herself to go to
No,
work.
she doesn't need to work so hard anymore with no kid to take care of.
Oh, she'll have a kid. It'll just be a dead corpse of Koji.
No, but that'll never come back, so she won't know.
Oh, you're really... Why do you want kids to die so badly?
Digimon's bad and I don't like watching it.
So he fights Churimon, and because of the plot giving him superpowers, because this always happens, you always know when a Digimon evolves for the first time, unless it's Lilymon or Kazemon, it's probably going to lose shortly after.
This Cherubimon took an attack from both the fusion form of Takuya and the fusion form of Koji.
Yep, who are ultimate levels, so that's fully evolved.
But this human spirit...
And then Spirit, yeah.
But the human spirit by himself could injure this thing that took those attacks and didn't move. It makes you go, oh, the pain! I'm dying! What happened?
Look, I think...
He's stronger than the whole rest of the group by himself.
I think that the projection was... Maybe it was his plan, and we find out later on that
Did you think he was playing dead?
No, I'm just saying, next episode, he says, it was my plan the whole time, which every enemy in Frontier says this so much. They just say, it was my plan the whole time to die, and which is what happened with Mercurymon.
Was it?
Yeah, Mercurymon with Sephirothmon.
Oh my god, yeah, that was dumb.
He says, it was my plan the entire time to lose my human spirit. Bah ha 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 ha.
Sorry, I'm just adding the projection, and he's like pretending to die, and he's like, ooh, oh my bones! It hurts so much!
But what I'm saying is that maybe because in the next episode he says, this is my plan the whole time to get all the spirits in this castle so I could absorb all the spirits and use their power. And yes, it's stupid that he just says that. Like, yes, this is my plan the whole time.
We'll go into it.
Maybe it was his plan for Koichi to unlock these spirits so he could get those spirits as well, and the only way he could do that was to trigger the power of friendship and love and brotherliness, I guess.
He already had the spirits of darkness.
I know, but now he has the real ones.
Now he has the light version.
Yeah, but he doesn't have the ones he basically customed.
No, but he didn't custom them. He had 5 spirits.
He put green stuff on it and said, these are mine.
But he already had the spirit of darkness. He already had it.
I feel like...
We established that in the next episode. He just doesn't choose to use it.
Yeah. Anyway, so, yeah, he's defeated, and there's no digicode, so they find out he's just a projection, and Digimon says, hey, I await your confrontation, I'll be under the Venus Rose. And then Koichi says, I'll go alone, and all the kids go, no, we're going to. And then Azumi says, well, it'll be boring without a girl. I'm like, I hate you so much.
And I've written in mine, I think it's like, and that's what she is.
Yeah.
She's the girl.
No, she 100% is. And that's, I mean, it'd be fine if she was actually a character. I'd be fine with that. But because her character is just, she's the girl, she's also Italian, that seems to be the extent of her character, so I don't like her. But it was actually like, I don't know, if she had a personality like Ruki. Ruki managed to be the quote-unquote girl for, you know, the first
Hey, no one had more personality than Jury did. One.
No, but I'm just saying that was Ruki's thing. Like, that was her position. She was the female character, so the female audience can say, hey, look, a female, you know, someone I can relate to, kind of. And that's fine, that's good, that's what shows should do. They should, you know, cater to all types of people. You know, the fat people and the two main characters look the same, and then the young kids.
His jumper's stuffed with chocolate. Which
yeah.
They're still pulling out.
Yeah, and then, that's what a show should do.
Wanted to resupply him when he was in the real world.
Yes. No, the Trailmon did. The Darkness Trailmon. The Despair Train. Junpei ended up
Doom Train.
Junpei ended up on the Doom Train because he had no chocolate. Yes, I know.
How did Duskmon send him to the Doom Train?
I know, I want more Doom Train.
How did that happen?
Please give me more Doom Train.
How did his attack summon a train?
Anyway, no, I did have a thought process.
Back in time.
I kind of know what I was saying. I'm pretty sure I had a really good thought
The show's
process.
so bad.
Oh my god, what was I saying?
The girl.
So the girl character, and Azumi's character is just the girl character, and Ruki was able to do it better because she actually had a personality.
Do you know what I particularly like about the girl character?
What?
Her backstory has no family to speak of that you can ever see, and it specifically is distanced from all people so that she can have a minimal amount of personality.
Yeah.
She never even has to talk to anyone if she doesn't want to.
Yeah, she has a pizza in the next episode. Because she's Italian.
Sorry, that was really funny.
Jay, who needs character development when you can have pizza?
No, what does she have? Family? Friends? No. Pizza!
Because honestly, that's the most important thing that you can have.
And you can't teach that.
Yeah, it's a pizza. But yeah, in the dub, she says, well, I can't let all the boys have all the fun. I'm like, well...
I can't let all the boys have all the fun.
Yeah, I missaid that, but like, well, just at least she has a pizza.
Some of the boys can have all the fun, or all the boys can have some of the fun, but not all the boys can have all the fun.
You know what they say, girls just want to have pizza. What do you think of this episode as someone who's new to Digimon? You can't just say, it was terrible, I hate it, let's move on.
It was terrible, I hate it, let's move on.
What do you think of this episode as someone who's new to Digimon? Actually, this time.
I'm terrible, it hates me, let's move on.
Okay, but actually...
I just didn't like it. And okay, it has a few problems. A, it very clearly thinks that was the best explanation it could have given for Koichi's place, and there's still huge holes in the story.
I liked it.
You like everything because you admit, I don't think about it.
No,
so I don't have to.
I admit that there are problems in a lot of what Frontier does, but I thought that backstory was emotional.
Oh, I'm not saying it's not emotional.
I found that the mother was very sacrificial, and I liked that. I mean, like, I like that she was, you know, she's a working woman. She's not like saying, "Oh, I'll marry a rich husband." She's not doing that. That's not done. And I like how she's not doing that sort of, you know, that, "Oh, I'm a maiden, I'll just go marry someone else," and that's nice. But, and you know, she's self-sacrificing, and I have a point there somewhere, I'm sure. But
if I might respond,
yeah, sure.
I'm not saying when I go into this that there are not good elements of it. When I say something is bad, it is very rare that what I'm actually saying is this has no redeeming qualities. That's almost never the case. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it is, but very rarely. What I mean is that the incompetence of the construction is so obvious, it no longer matters if there are good parts of it, because those good parts are the They're the icing on top of what is actually just a big poo. You're like, look how nice that cake looks. I'm like, I know what's under the icing.
Look at how good that pizza looks.
Yeah, I know what's under the cheese.
Bread, no tomato sauce.
Rat poison.
Woof.
Like, I'm aware of that. And so I can't enjoy the thing anymore just because I know there's good elements to it, because at its core, it's rotten.
Yeah, it's sad though. What rating did you give it?
I don't know, I didn't like it, so I guess it's a 4.
I gave it a 7.
Also, the Digimon's continual, complete misunderstanding of what power levels are. What's the point of having all the other kids there? Clearly, Koichi can take care of everything on his own.
Yeah, they should just kind of say, okay, Koichi, good luck, you go.
Yeah.
But that's why I think that Tribumon was basically just sending out a copy that could die straight away to Koichi but wouldn't be affected by anyone else because he was trying to lure them in.
It's such a weird
but
thing for him to have done.
He does say in the next episode it was his plan all along. Yes, I think it's stupid that it was his plan all along, and I feel like they should stop doing that with bad guys in Frontier, because it was fine when Sephirothmon says it, but like, oh yeah, no, I mean, like, we kind of see, oh yeah, it was his plan to die and all, but the fact they're doing it again...
So, whenever someone says, it was my plan all along, you have to assess the knowledge they possibly could have had and where their gambles were.
Oh, there's a huge gamble for both of them.
There's lots of them, but we're primarily going to focus on the one in this episode, where the one that let's pretend that he needed somehow the darkness thing to be cured, which doesn't make sense because he was trying to convince Koichi. Yep. Now... how could he know that Koji's Digivice would do that?
Yes, it doesn't make sense. I'm just saying that...
It doesn't make sense.
I'm just saying that that's why Leomon was able to defeat the projection so easily, because he is this, he's saying, oh, it was my plan all along. Yes, it's stupid. Yes, I know he assumes a lot and he makes a lot of gambles. So did Mercurymon when he sacrificed his human spirit and did all that stuff just so he could steal their attacks. Yes, it's stupid, but I'm saying at the moment we're talking about how Tribumon lured the kids in and got defeated easily because of that. Also, it is still stupid. I'm not arguing that.
He never told them about the Venus Rose until now, even though they were going there. Does he know if Fanimon is sending these messages?
Well, the plot does.
Yes, I know the plot does. Does he know that?
No, that's why he said I'm waiting at the Venus Rose. I don't know why you're going this direction, but I guess if you are anyway, I'm at the Venus Rose.
That's, I'm sure, what the full line was.
Yep, Tribumon said in his big bun voice. Evil bun.
Thanks for reading my notes.
What?
Did you not see I transitioned into just calling him that the whole time?
Oh, no. I haven't read your notes.
I said Tribumon a few times, and then just like Tribumon, in brackets, evil bun. And then he just becomes evil bun the rest of them.
But that's because that's what he is. He is a bun who is evil. Evil, ergo, evil bun.
Yeah, fair enough.
How did this episode compare to what you predicted in Obnoxious Synopsis?
I was so wrong. I was just really wrong. Let's leave it at that, okay?
Well, you said it'd be a 5, which is even there. Yeah. But you said it would be filler. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you were very wrong. You're right. You think... you did say it wouldn't be a good episode.
Every element... That doesn't count. I answer no every time, and I'm always right. Always.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Always.
Yeah. What was the major difference between the Japanese and the English version? Because I'm going to say the mother going from, like, forcing herself to go to work even though she could have days off to... the company is forcing her not to have days off. And also, Takuya is sort of more of an understanding brother. He said, like, well, I'm not really a good brother. And then Dobisek saying, well, my brother's annoying anyway.
I'm thinking that it's for me, just because it's the one I noticed the most, it's Takuya being like, I have a little brother, kind of hate him.
Yeah, that was the thing.
It's not like I have a little brother, yeah, sometimes he's annoying, but I like him in the end, and it's valuable to having a brother, and I think it's a great experience. This was, I have a brother, he's crap, and I don't like him, and maybe I have a problem.
Yeah.
Like, he just admits that he has psychological issues. Oh, and one more thing. If Churumon's plan was to draw them in, like, why was that his plan when he could have just killed them?
Well, that's what I said.
Because we already talked about that one as well.
He could have killed them. And it's always the option. Why doesn't the bad guy ever want to kill... They're lying right there. They're basically defeated. They're lying, they're bruised. They've got the anime little dirt marks on their face. That means they're going to die.
Also, most importantly, if he has the power to send out a projection of his own choosing and strength, why can't he send out 50 of them?
Maybe they can't actually kill because they're projections. Maybe they do, like, fake damage.
You think it's illusion damage?
Yes.
I don't think so.
Maybe he can't actually cause any lasting damage. I don't
He
know.
caused a real crater in the ground.
Yeah, there is a lot of issues. There are so many issues.
How did he illusion the train to fly away?
The
train... Because with illusion damage, right, if you were to punch something, it couldn't fly without the force of you kicking it.
The power of love? Yeah. On to the next episode? Are you crying?
A little bit.
Episode 34 starts off with some pretty dramatic, like, Star Wars-esque music as the children are walking towards the Venus Rose. And it's kind of cool. And the dub doesn't put in any narration. And it's just this dramatic music in the dub. And it's just really weird that the dub hasn't done anything weird here and put in, any stupid jokes or Pokemon and Leomon talking the whole time, which, I love. But it was, I don't know, it was just surprising enough that I needed to note, because I was, waiting out for what are they going to do in the dub. And this moment happens every, episode. There'll be, like, something where there'll be silence or there'll be something dramatic. And I'll just be there saying, I can't wait to see what the dub does. But in this situation, they don't do anything. What do you think?
I didn't notice because it was silence.
Man, it wasn't silent. It had this really cool, dramatic, as I said, Star Wars-esque music, and I really liked it.
When it comes to the dub, the things I notice are when they say things that are weird, because I struggle to watch it again. But I always listen to everything that they're saying. So that's my analysis point, is what is said that is communicated differently. Mm-hmm. So when they don't say anything, I often miss it.
So then they hear of Fanimon, who tells them good work on getting here, and that Chubimon is here. In the dub, it's sort of the same, except she doesn't really say, good work. She just says, now, this is your task now. Didn't
they say in another episode that she can't communicate with them over the phones anymore?
No, that was just in that situation. I know it's completely plot convenient. I know, no, I'm not arguing about that, no. So, this is something I found really weird, and this is in both versions. So, Fanimon says, Chubimon is inside. Chubimon's here. And in both versions, they are shocked. Now, this is weird, considering at the end of the last episode, what did Chubimon say?
I will be at the Venus Rose.
And where is he now?
At the Venus Rose!
And how are the kids reacting to this? Yes, they all look at each other and say, Chubimon's here? And it's just so weird, like, were they not paying attention?
Clearly.
Because I was paying attention, and Chubimon definitely says, and they even had in the recap, Chubimon saying, I will be under the Venus Rose.
The only thing I can imagine is that whole speech that he gives when it's like, when he's gone already, that's narration. They don't actually hear it.
It's just...
No, that's
it's
a stupid
so
response. It's not real.
So data starts being gathered at the top of the Venus Rose, and Tomoki says that maybe Koichi knows something. So Junpei tells Koichi to ask him, and Azumi gut punches him for being tactless. But I don't know, I think it was reasonable.
It was just the way he said it. It was like, hey, you should ask Koichi. He was an evil henchman, right?
Yeah, but in the dub, it's worse. Like, JP says how Koichi was on the dark side, so maybe he knows something. And then Zoe punches him, and then sarcastically says, hey, you really have a way with words. Maybe you should consider becoming a diplomat. Like, well, he's not Taichi. The kids wonder if there are any traps, and Nemon's scared, but Bokumon says that they've overcome all kinds of dangers before, so traps won't scare them away, and Takuya says, maybe we shouldn't go, and then the music stops dramatically, and I love when they do this.
Well, first of all, okay, there are two things here. First of all, you got to talk about Beakmon's face. How is that Takuya?
Yeah.
Weird. Never does that. But more
so
importantly,
cute.
What is with Tolmon's reaction in the English?
What?
I've written it down. A trap, but I'm too young to fly.
Yeah, I didn't get that, but that's funny.
What does that mean?
Because maybe he's making a leap that some traps will launch you.
I think the only thing I can imagine is the original line was, I'm too young to die, and they decided it was too dark, so they're going to make him say the phrase wrong.
Yeah.
That's all I've got.
I mean, it's funny if you're saying the phrase wrong.
All I've got.
Because I didn't even catch that part, but no, I love Neomon so much. Or as you call him, Tallmon.
He's tall. The other one's beaky.
Yeah, Beakmon and Tallmon.
We're going to go sneaky beaky-like.
So in the dub, it's sort of the same. I don't know, and yeah, it turns out Takuya's kidding, and I actually found this moment kind of really funny a little bit.
Yeah, it was alright.
Notice how I went through different words of like kind of, really, kind of a
There
little
were
bit.
a lot of qualifiers.
Yeah,
on
it
there.
was like, and each of them cancelled the other one out.
I found this more or less probably entertaining. I don't know, 50-50.
It made me smile,
Maybe.
but also made me frown. Takuya and Koji human spirit evolve, which I don't know. It's always weird to me when they go to human when they can go to their stronger fusion version, which we've seen.
Oh, but they've only got 60 seconds, man.
No, but it's not Atmon. But the thing is, we've seen that. Okay, there's a reason why you would choose beast over human.
No, I mean human over beast.
Yeah, human over beast or beast. Yeah, no, human over beast or beast over human.
You usually pick beast over human.
Yes, but except for when the human spirit can scan and it's presumably usually faster, maybe.
Blizzardmon can scan. He has hands.
No, we've seen the beasts cannot scan.
None of them can?
None of them.
None of them.
We have not seen a beast
Are
spirit
you
scan.
sure?
Positive.
I feel like that must not be true.
Because that would take extra animation.
Oh, yeah!
And we've seen Eldermon scan because he's just a Goonimon face and you just have to change the body slightly.
Digimon's bad.
No, but what I'm saying is
Don't say no! It's still true!
It has problems, but I'm just saying, so they go to their human spirit, which is really weird they do that, because the fusion spirit is basically just like human spirit, but better.
Yes, and also, if you're not intending to scan anything anytime soon, we know the beasts are stronger.
Yes. The beasts are stronger, and sometimes they can fly. But yeah, they're not as small.
I should establish, we know the beasts are stronger because the human spirit will lose until it can evolve to beast, then it will win. So it must be stronger. There is evidence for this claim.
Yeah. And then
I did oral submissions today. That was rough.
Koichi also evolves, but we don't get any split evolution with him because it's a new evolution, so we want to like showcase this a bit more, which I'm fine with.
Did they do split ones in English? I feel like they went for 5
No.
minutes.
In the English version, they just had everyone have their own individual evolution. It went on for so long.
I think it was 4 minutes.
I skipped in the English version.
Well, I always skip it.
I watched the original because the original usually does it. Well, he does it quite like quickly because
It still did like 3 full evolution cycles.
Yes,
They were just 2 doubles.
They're also they're shortened.
A little bit.
The evolutions are shortened in the original, but in the English dub, they're all padded out. They're all their longest possible scene, and they're all given individual evolution. So yeah, the 3 other characters also evolved their human spirits in a 3-way split, and yeah, the dub wants to showcase all the evolutions except for the main special one, which I thought that was reasonable, and they all have them all the same length. So I don't know. Blitzmon's carrying Bokumon, Neomon, and Chakmon, and Patamon flies past, and Bokumon wonders how he's so fast. It's because Kazemon's carrying him. In the dub, Bokumon's worried about the altitude causing a nosebleed.
Okay.
Which, I don't know, I found it was funny in the original. Cherubimon is telling Ophanimon that the others have arrived, and Cherubimon says that she should become his ally. And then some Phantomon show up in front of the kids, and they're evil, which makes me sad because I really liked the bread-eating Phantomon we saw a couple of episodes ago.
Can I just say something right now?
Uh-huh.
I hadn't thought about this until this exact moment. We know briefly summarize, what's the reason Ophanimon is in prison?
Because she disagreed with Cherubimon's ways.
No. What happened, and then what did she say?
Okay, she literally says, let Seraphimon live, you can do whatever you want with me, you can take me prisoner.
Wouldn't he have just said, you have to work with me now, and then threatened to kill Seraphimon? But instead he froze Seraphimon in ice and was like, no, work with me. And she's like, no, work with me. Because there's no way this is the only time he's ever asked her this question. He's probably asked her this like 80 times.
Oh, he probably asks her every day.
So you'd think if he had planned it all in advance...
I mean, it's implied that he's in love with her.
Is it?
Yes.
Was it?
Azumi says. And that's...
Yeah, like Izumi's a professional in love.
Well, she's the girl.
Yeah.
So
And
she has
he's
to be,
the
right?
evil pastel rabbit.
Yeah, and he's in love with the angel, apparently.
It doesn't even have the organs to make it work.
We don't know that.
We can see.
So the Phantomon...
Ken doll.
Yeah, the Phantomon want to reap the souls, and it's kind of dark, and they kept it the same in the dub, and it's amazing.
Well, what about the digital analyzer that says that they have the ability to see the fate of, like, when someone's going to die?
Yeah.
Doesn't that mean that when they're fighting, they know they're gonna lose?
Yes.
So why are they still fighting?
Worth a
They
shot.
know know they're going to lose. They have 100% certainty. Also,
you have to admire their spirit, right?
no. Let's skip most.
What about their beast spirit?
Skip most of the fight.
I really want to say what happens in the dub. It's just that I'm really sad at this point in the dub.
They didn't make any puns.
That, and also, Phantomon doesn't have a dorky voice. He actually has he doesn't have a fake scary voice, like I'm a ghost.
No,
they actually have scary, yes, he actually has a scary voice in the English version, which is weird to me.
Sorry.
Because when have the bad guys in Digimon, who are actually scary, been given scary voices? These are the scary
What are you talking about? I'm Vandemon! Oh, I'm the scariest bad guy you ever did see.
No easy tusk. Pokemon says the inside of their cape is connected to a different dimension.
Dark Ocean?
Yeah,
It's not.
In the dub, he says that explicitly it's just the pendant that they have around their neck.
What is another dimension? Although, no, they can't. The cape dimension can't be the same as the.
Well, it clearly stores them. To get them into the dimension, they use the cape, and the dimension is inside the necklace.
But they put themselves in the cape, which means the necklace is inside the necklace.
Yes, it's necklaceception.
The necklace can't be inside the necklace.
It can if it wants to.
No, but that means there's infinite necklaces.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Many necklace.
No.
It's necklace times a necklace. It's very necklace.
Necklace squared.
It's even more necklace. So...
It's just a really big neck.
So then Phantomon captures the other children except for Leomon because he's the main character of this arc.
Mm-hmm.
And he uses the power of the closed eyes, which I wish we had a tally of how many times a character has closed their eyes in Digimon Frontier.
You can't be afraid of the darkness if you can't see it.
Yes, it keeps on happening, Jay.
So I have a question for you very briefly.
I'll see if I can answer.
What is the objective of these Phantomon?
To get all the kids into the necklace.
Okay. Does it need to be every single one of them?
Yes.
Okay. Then it is reasonable what they did. Because if you think about it for 2 seconds, you have to imagine that killing... How many kids are there?
An amount?
I don't know. So killing 75...
You mean there are 3. There are 3 characters, Jay. Then there's Bokumon, Neomon, and Patamon.
Okay, but Koichi counts.
Yes, 3 characters. Takuya, Koji, and Koichi.
Okay, then there's 3 other characters. Okay,
and then Bokumon...
If you got 5...
Yep.
If you got 5 humans out of 6...
Yeah.
That's like 80%. I don't know the exact numbers. I'm really bad with math. Anyway, so I think if they killed 80% of the intruders, they would have been happy with that result.
No, I disagree with you. You know why?
Why?
Because these kids were so easy to capture. This kid will be too.
Yeah.
So,
also, they were so fast and so smart before, and then all of a sudden, when it's Leomon's time to shine, oh no, we collided and now we're distracted. Oh, what could possibly go wrong? Oh, you broke crystals. What?
He has this thing that all the evolutions, except for Kazumon, so far have had in this season, is that he has temporary new evolution buff.
He has invincibility frames. That's all it is.
Yes, and he has this, and all the other characters have basically had this buff where they're the strongest characters, they do so much damage, and then, in a couple of episodes, they'll be doing their main attack and it won't even scratch a bad guy.
Well, basically, Smash Brothers?
Yep.
Basically, it's when you just spawned again off the little flying things, and you're there and you're flashing and no one can hurt you.
Yes.
That's it. That's what a new evolution is.
It's what happens in... Except for, as I mentioned before, with Lilymon in Flower Power when she first evolved, she defeated Dark Tyrannomon, but then Vandemon showed up and turned her to stone.
God, Digimon has the worst shonen problem ever. Because it's not like if you're watching Dragon Ball Z and someone goes Super Saiyan and you're like, oh, that's a big deal, and then it's like, they do that way, and they always sort of discuss power levels and things, but when one person does it, it's a big deal, and that's sort of the thing for that season or that arc or that big fight, and that's a long period of time. With Digimon, there's 8 characters, and they all have to have multiple of them in a season. At some point, you have to do a percentage calculation on how many episodes in a season have a new evolution in them. And honestly, it's a lot. What is it? Okay, hold on. They had to get their spirits, then they had to get beast spirits, and now we have a new character who has...
He was given his spirits, immediately, which is fine.
Okay, so that's 10... There's at least 11 episodes in this season, and that's low for Digimon.
Yeah.
11 episodes where the entire thing is, I get a new evolution, I evolve, and I win because of it. That's a full 20% of the show.
Except for both of Zoe's evolution episode, which I guess was...
She still won.
They're okay not in the first one.
No, she didn't win the way you wanted her to win.
No, Leomon showed up because she got defeated and she de-evolved.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm still annoyed.
But think about Adventure, where you had go to adult, go to Mega, go to Ultimate or whatever, and you have 8 kids. There were 24 episodes where that happened.
Yeah, but
but Ultimate didn't happen for everybody.
But I think, well, yeah, big Ultimate, yeah. Like the Mega Ultimate.
Still, it's nuts.
Well, at least in Digimon Adventure, the episodes were better.
Yeah, of course.
So you didn't say, oh, this is just an evolution episode. There was still some stakes, or the evolution happened at the very end of the episode. So it was just sort of like the whole
But then they
leading
won
up
next
part.
episode, so that's the one that counts. What I'm trying to say is...
No, I'm saying at the end, the last 5 minutes, the evolution happens and they defeat the opponent.
But you have to think, in a Digimon season, and I've just never thought about it before, 20 to 30% of any given season is, I evolve and I win the fight.
Yeah, I know, I've never thought of that before, and you're right, that does happen a lot in Digimon. It is something that just happens, but depending on how well they write the episode, it doesn't have to be a bad thing.
And also, 20 to 30% of a Digimon season is often the size of full seasons of other shows.
Yes.
Better shows I could be watching.
Like Beyond the Boundary was 13 episodes?
Yep. There is as much Beyond the Boundary.
One of them was a prologue.
There is as much Beyond the Boundary as there were I Evolve and Win episodes in 02.
Oh my god, there were so many in 02 because they all had their
armor
evolutions.
Oh, there were infinite of them.
And then they had the other armor evolution, then they had the revolution to adult, then they have their evolution to the Jogress evolution, and then we had, 3 more evolutions that just came out of Daisuke and Ken. But the thing is, we're only just complaining about it now. Previously, we had been complaining about how 02, for example, had too much animation, like evolution animations.
Well, it's the same thing. Yeah. But for them, it was always like, we have to throw 3 didn't they do a full animation once for 3 people who instantly de-evolve a minute later having done nothing? This
has happened in previous seasons, but it does happen quite a bit in Frontier where they'll just evolve and then they'll fly up to something, get injured, and de-evolve. I know that it happened, I think...
It happened to Junpei once?
I think in Adventure, and we laughed about this at the time, because Kabuterimon evolved for 8 seconds.
That's what I'm thinking of, yeah! That was really bad! But he gets the full animation, boom, he's dead!
Yeah, but it wasn't they didn't shorten the evolution or anything.
It was so funny.
And then I remember the weird thing was once in an episode where everything was happening, and Mimi says, "Okay, I'll go on Togemon," and then the scene changes, and she's on Togemon.
They're outside the pyramid
because they don't have time. They didn't have time for the evolution.
That was one of the best episodes of the season.
No, it was.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it was okay. It was.
Wasn't it the first one I was ever this was okay?
Yeah, all that whole mini arc of the pyramid and Taichi getting Greymon to evolve, and then home away from home. That was the happiest you were with Adventure until Flower Power.
Fair enough.
20 episodes later, no.
Okay.
10.
So Leomon kills them, I guess, and because they suddenly just become stupid. And we find out that what's his name? Chubimon's plan is to gather all the data of the digital world, and then he'll rule the world. But we know that gathering the data is breaking the world. Yeah. So he has to destroy it
to create his
and then he will rule nothing.
Yes.
He didn't say create anything. He's just going to be very powerful and he'll rule the nothing.
Yes.
There is an old cartoon.
I think he's going to rebuild the world with the data in his own way.
I'm really glad he said all that because he was just monologuing to himself and he had reason to omit it.
But also, you've just skipped a bit.
No. I just want to say, there's a cartoon, I think it's a Marvel cartoon, and it has the most important line, which is, why would you destroy the world? That's bad for business. There's no, you can't destroy and rule the world. You pick one.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to hold the, continents hostage, I'd understand that. He's like, nah, I'm gonna destroy the world. And then I'll also be the ruler of it.
But just quickly, so, Leomon's able to win because, as we mentioned, he has the buff of, he just evolved recently. And his Digivice scanning is corrupted and wicked heart, sleep in darkness that you were born from. This Digivice will purify you. In the dub, he says, let these shadows purify you. And then, the kids run through the gate, Chubimon's there, and, he wants lots of data, and he hasn't really thought this through. So we see what the kids are doing, and this whole bit reminds me of a Persona dungeon. Maybe
It
that's
looks exactly like a Persona
I think it's
dungeon.
because I've been playing so much Persona.
But it looks like the ones in 3 and 4
Yeah.
where the bad guys are like weird squidgy sludge things
Yes.
until you fight them.
And not actual, like, things. No, it just reminds me of a Persona 4 or 3 dungeon.
What's really weird about Persona 5, I'm sorry, I need to say it because it's important to me right now.
But
is
no
that
spoilers.
None of the classic enemies are there. None of the slime monsters with the masks, none of the dice, none of them are there.
Yeah, because that was like maybe the...
Oh, that's not true. Like, Jack Frost is there.
Yeah, Jack Frost is like the one. He's from the Shin Megami Tensei series.
And I think there are a couple of, like, personas I've seen before that have shown up, but none of, like, I don't feel like any of them are classic enemies. They're all just personas you're fighting.
Yeah. Persona's such a good game.
Oh, it's really good.
I know that...
Oh, but that makes perfect sense because you can just get them
Yeah.
in the middle of the fight. Like, you didn't used to be able to do that, so maybe that's why. But you kind of missed the mask slimes because that's just classic.
Yeah, but they didn't have much character.
I remember they used to just color swap everything, and that's how you knew they were more powerful.
Yeah.
That's nostalgic to me now.
Yeah, well, there were different elements, so you knew which colors you have to hit with.
Yeah, but it's
moves.
like, the slime in this version is now like green.
Yeah,
they're way different and stronger.
Now they're just Personas.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, Persona's a really good game. Play
It's the best game.
It's
I'm literally ruining my sleep because of this game.
Yeah, it's worrying. You should probably sleep.
Nah.
Like
nah.
I managed to put 80 hours into this game, and that's I've only been asleep for a few of those hours.
Yeah, but that's because during the weekends that's all you've done for multiple full days.
I've become a video game gremlin with my footy.
Videogram.
I've become a little gremlin. Jay called me a programming gremlin today.
I think I'm up to, was it probably like 38, 40 hours, something like that?
How?
Because I'm more efficient than you.
Oh, I just spent a long time in Mementos.
Yeah, I've been clearing mementos as well, but I only had to grind in it once for money.
I don't grind. I just went through Mementos. How have I put that many hours?
Man, there's not that many levels in mementos.
I was exploring every single bit of Mementos.
No, it doesn't take that long.
Really? Because
Floors aren't that big.
Then why have I spent that long?
I don't know. Have you been getting lost? You know there's a map.
No, I know there's a map. No, I'm just...
I legit don't know. Do you read really slowly?
No?
I think it's that you're falling asleep. I've walked in so many times and you're just asleep and the game's on. I think it accounts for about 20 hours at least.
No.
It has to. If you're falling asleep in like 3-4 hour chunks, and that does happen, then you only have to do it 4 or 5 times.
At least I do sleep.
It's true.
Unlike some people, Jay. So a bell scares away the spirits, and it's Goatmon or Oryxmon in the dub.
Those are different animals. He's clearly a goat.
And he's not their enemy, and he says that they'll guide them to a Fanimon, and Takuya says, prove it, and Patamon flies over to him and sits on his head, so now they know they can trust him because it was cute.
What's this goat doing here?
Yeah, look, in my memory, which is wrong, I'm going to just say that, Goatmon was like, a servant to a Fanimon, and this was a Fanimon's castle, but this isn't a Fanimon's castle. This is Trubimon's castle, right?
Yeah, well, clearly.
Unless it was a Fanimon's castle and Cherubimon has taken over it for his own because he's
But even
ruling
so,
it.
he would have killed Goatmon by now.
Yes, unless he didn't know Goatmon was there, which doesn't make sense.
Because it's his prison, which has all of his prisoners in it.
Yes, it's very much like the plot says Goatmon's here, so Goatmon's here.
Awesome.
So he says he'll guide them to a Fanimon, and so he does, and there's a lot of light, and there's a Fanimon.
Why does the plot put Goatmon there when they could have just walked in and found a Fanimon and skipped 20 seconds of animation?
I have no idea. They wanted to introduce Gardamon with the Digimental of Hope, I think it is.
I just wanted to pick up the clock so that I can sandbag this.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if the clock will come up in the recording. But
if you're
all
quiet
right.
enough, you can see it.
I know, but I also remove silences that are below a certain decibel.
Fair enough.
And you're pretty sure that'll be under the threshold.
Okay.
But if it's up in the recording, I'll just leave it there because Jay wanted to sandbag me.
Get sandbagged.
So Blitzmon and Fairymon try to break through the barrier. Fanimon says that there was a war, and we get this whole thing that we could have just skipped
Because they've told us... Not only have they told us before, Nemon's like, Seraphimon told us all that.
I'm happy that he said that, because it would have been so annoying if he hadn't, and it's tolerable because Nemon said, hey, yeah, we already know this part.
Then Bigmon's just like, Gunpachi!
Gunpachi, I love how he calls out his attack, it's so cute. So, Fanimon says that Seraphimon took care of upholding law and order in the digital world, Cherubimon upheld knowledge and teachings, and because Fanimon's a girl, she upheld life and love.
So, are these just the goddesses from Zelda?
Yeah, no, yes.
Is that not just what's happening?
Yep. So, Cherubimon disagreed with them, and we get a flashback, and the big clown, pastel-coloured bunny rabbit says,
cute.
"Don't try to sugarcoat this!" I'm like, well, you are just so cute, aren't you? Aren't you just adorable?
So what it basically does, this whole flashback, what it says is that the reason that Cherubimon had the falling out was because he was outnumbered on this ruling council, and he thought that they were working against the beasts, because it turns out that the big falling out is over the race war, which was the issue, and that was never told us before, so this is new information, I think.
Yep.
But, like...
This is actually quite interesting, this part.
It is. Why would the ruling council have been made up of only 3? An odd number here seems like a terrible plan. Because this was bound to happen if there was still bad blood. Or if you were going to have a ruling council, select people who don't care so much about the race war.
Well, maybe...
Who selected them?
Maybe Cherubimon didn't originally. And also, I think that they were just... Didn't the Ancient Warriors select them?
Did they?
I thought that it was mentioned. I mean, we've heard this story like 20 million times.
Yeah, but it's so boring. What happened to the 10 ancient warriors? Oh, I guess they became too ancient.
Yeah. The plot said, okay, no more review, except for in the movie, Ancient Greymon and Ancient Garurumon can show up, but no one else.
Do you think they were still called ancient at the time?
Maybe they were just Greymon and Garurumon.
Yeah. Did they become ancient later?
Maybe this is like after adventure.
My big problem with this, I guess, is I don't understand what the timeline is between the big war that Cherubimon sort of starts again here, and the big attack, and the kids showing up. Because by Fanimon's story, it's a week.
Yep.
So all that stuff just happened, but no one's talking about it.
It's very fast.
How come no Beast Digimon have said, yeah, we helped Cherubimon fight in the war a couple days ago, also the world's burned up now?
I mean, maybe it's more than like just a week.
So if anyone says, the moment I was put in prison pretty much, she sent out this message, okay?
Yes.
So the kids got that message immediately, because there's no implication of any delay whatsoever.
Oh yeah.
Setting aside, though I will mention it now, how could she possibly have sent this message? She doesn't know what mobile phones are.
The power of light.
She doesn't know what mobile phones are. She doesn't know the real world exists. Because she couldn't possibly know.
You're right. It doesn't make sense.
How could she know it was going to get specifically to children? How does she know what a human child is?
Well, haven't we seen Digimon who say, oh, you're a human, but that they sort of know what the real world is?
Yeah, but they shouldn't know.
Maybe Digimon can go between worlds.
That was like Tamers' like big shtick, is that all Digimon knew about it, and that's fine. This world is not like that.
Yeah, you're right. No, it is silly. You're right.
So her plan's stupid, and the timing begins to fall apart again. Where you're like, she contacts them when she's in prison, but so does Cherubimon just become evil? I don't know. Anyway, the story sucks.
No, it has a lot of problems, and it's a lot of sort of, hey, believe us on this, right?
So the only thing that's interesting is that Cherubimon, like, his paranoia, I guess, is what got him.
No, but I really like his story, and just, well, before I forget, in the dub, when he says, don't try to sugarcoat this, he's actually saying how chaos is the world's natural state. So it already seems like he's already kind of evil.
Was that in the Japanese as well? I remember that in the English.
No, that's what I'm saying, it's in the English version.
Okay, because in that version, what they're trying to do is they're trying to say, oh, yeah, he was evil the whole time, so, like, of course we disagreed, and it was all his fault, and he was a bad guy.
Yes.
Whereas in Japanese, obviously, he's sympathetic. Whether he's just paranoid, perhaps.
Yeah, he's saying, look, we can't just sugarcoat this. This is a serious topic. And yeah, in the English version, he's saying
when he says
chaos
that, what's he
good.
referring to?
I think it's just sort of something that's just taken.
Disagreement.
It's just a disagreement that they're having, and he's upset with them because they're only thinking about the world as how it is to human Digimon as opposed to beast Digimon. So I think he has got he's got a good stance, and he's saying, I care about my people and I want equality for this, and you're only ever thinking about human Digimon. And that's completely understandable. But in some way he begins to misunderstand, and a Fanimon and Seraphimon are meeting in private, which is a dumb idea, really. They should just ask, hey, Cherubimon, how can we understand you better? Like, it's this stupid misunderstanding of them just sort of, going off in secret to discuss, hey, how do you think we can make him understand us better? Rather than just asking him.
This is one of the worst versions, because it's literally what starts the entire story, and there's no good reason for it, where I think it's the best friend cast really made me notice this issue. And there are issues that you just it's called just talk.
Yeah, and they don't do that. They just say, okay, let's just not talk to Trubimon. So of course Trubimon sees them alone and thinks they are plotting against me.
Because this is the core concept behind pretty much every romantic comedy ever.
It's a misunderstanding.
And most teen movies is you walk in, you see something, and then person draws conclusions, and then they leave. Or they see something in the distance, they draw conclusions, they leave. Or someone is paranoid and doesn't say anything. Or there are really obvious problems, but no one says anything because they're too awkward. And all the problems arise because no one said the reasonable thing. That's not a story. That's a contrivance.
Yeah, and see, I like the backstory, except for the fact that it would be easily, avoided and solved if Cherubimon was asked about how he felt and how they could make it fairer for the Beast-type Digimon, because I think he's got completely legitimate views. He's saying, I care about my people. So the fact that he misunderstood why they were meeting in private, I understand that, and I understand, where he's coming from. I mean, his soul was taken over by evil, and it said that, and then he becomes, the dark Cherubimon.
I think the problem with this whole storyline is that it is never, ever, ever expressed, even in the movie which focused on this, how are Beast and human Digimon different?
One's a beast and one's a human.
What needs does one have that the other doesn't?
No, they're all the same.
So how could anything that they decide be different?
Jay, you could say the same for different races.
I know.
Why are the needs of a Caucasian person different to the needs of a black person?
I can describe those to you. There are systems of inequality that are in place because of capitalism, because of the various histories of slavery and oppression. Those all existed because we understand because racism in a human context is understandable. They never display except for the movie, which was not canon.
Yep.
It is never ever discussed in any way. Do the human Digimon look down on the Beast Digimon? Never said.
Well, maybe.
Don't maybe me. The show should say.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Maybe they should have said that the humans use the beasts as slaves, and maybe because they said, that they're beasts, let's have them as pets. Let's use them.
That'd be interesting.
As means of transportation, because we're human Digimon and we're above this.
The problem.
Why couldn't they say, the human Digimon were just kind of mean? That would even make Cherubimon's point even more valid.
Absolutely.
That he was saying, well, you're just humans. You're being racist against me because you used my people as slaves.
Yeah, absolutely. But the problem with the story is, if you look at the backstory, which we've been told 3 times, every time you tell the story, it just starts, they were just fighting.
Yeah, they do add on something every time I've heard the story, which is fine.
But it never tells you why they were fighting.
They should... I think that one of the times they should have added in, they were fighting because humans were using beasts as slaves, for example. Or maybe it's the other way around. Maybe Beast said, well, we're stronger than you, so you should obey us. Maybe that was both. But we need to know why they were fighting between just, you are different. Because, they do require the same sort of things, but I feel like they should have gone into why they were fighting.
Think of modern America, and imagine if the story began...
I think about modern America a lot.
So, the North and South were just fighting. The Civil War just happened. Why was that? No, I don't know. They just did.
If that happened, then we just
Sorry, no, this is literally the thing Donald Trump said recently. It's, the Civil War, no one even asked why it happened. Didn't need to happen. They could have just, no one even asked these questions. No one thinks about it. They didn't need to be a Civil War. Literally said that in a speech. It's the funniest thing.
I can't believe America exists.
I need to find that clip again. No one asked why there was a Civil War. No one thinks about it. I found it the other day for the first time. I'm 75.
Why?
I added the last 2 lines, but no one's ever asked why there was a Civil War is the best.
Yeah, it's because you're all told.
The press secretary hid in the bushes, guys. In the bushes.
I know. You care about American politics more than you do about Australian politics, and it's weird to me.
Australian politics is boring. Have you seen... Okay, I told you this from the article that I was reading just before. We're not in the middle of a constitutional crisis. We're in the middle of a very bad joke.
Yep.
Sorry, move on.
Yeah, move on to the actual episode. So, one day he's turned evil, and this made him purple, apparently. And
are you sure that's not the spirit of Amdamon?
It's the spirit of Amdamon, by the way. It was Oikawa all
I think it's
along.
the spirit of Lucemon. I'm pretty sure.
So, after the flashback and the exposition dump, Fairymon wonders if Cherubimon was in love with the Fanimon. And I'm like, how would you draw this conclusion? Azumi, how is this how did you get there? How did you get from
What
point A
is-
to point B? It is specifically said, oh, he was a beast spirit. I mean, beast-type Digimon, and he was worried about being oppressed.
What is much more important about this is that it's from Ophanimon's point of view. There is no chance that in Ophanimon's version of the story, he would have come off that way. If he was telling the story, and she could have picked up, oh, this is the way he refers to Seraphimon and Ophanimon differently, that's one thing. When one of them says, he didn't, the story goes, we had a conversation one day and he took it badly because he thought that we were trying to undermine him as a representative. Yeah, I can see it would be the stupidest stretch for an 11-year-old girl to say, these two people were talking, so he must be super jealous and in love. It's probably the political thing you were told, because it led to a big revolution. Which also meant that the Beast Spirits all wanted a revolution.
Yeah, and also, this is such a weird line, and it's in both versions, and no one replies to it.
Because it's so weird.
No, Junpei doesn't say, well, that's weird. Or Fanimon says, no, that wasn't the case, or maybe that was the case. No one replies to it. Everyone ignores this line, and it's so bizarre. It almost seems like the dub added in a stupid line, except it was in both.
But Junpei has such like an easy in for a response.
Because
I would do crazy things for love, or
or
I would start a revolution for
is,
you.
Blitzmon's mouth doesn't move, so that in the dub they could have added something in to make this less of an awkward thing, but no one says anything. And usually, we've seen Junpei say something weird and creepy in reply to something in relation to love or Izumi, and he doesn't. It's so weird. So, Fanimon says that Truvimon created the evil warriors from 4 of those spirits, and Izumi was getting pizza out of the oven when she got the message. This is the important bit. That this is her character. She was cooking because she was a woman, and there was pizza because she's Italian. There we go, that's a character.
I'm just saying that this is what I meant in the last episode, where he couldn't have been waiting for the cleansed version of the Dark Spirit, because he had that version of the Dark Spirit already.
You're right.
And it's weird.
Yeah.
So he couldn't have been waiting for that. Anyway, then they all get captured.
No, but I want to say that Tomoki was being beaten up by the bullies, and who also got the message, but during this time in the dub, Ophanimon is doing narration. Ophanimon says, only those who were pure of heart were sent my message. So Tomoki's bullies were pure of heart, apparently.
Probably was just focusing on him in that frame. It's not like they were looking at their phones, were they?
We saw them push him onto the train, Jay, in the first episode.
Oh, those bullies! Right!
And they were also, yes, he was being pushed up against a tree, and he's got mud over his face, and he's a big disgrace, and his bullies are looking at their phones. And they're the same bullies that push him in. And which is fine, that's fine. It was just all children were sent this, but to the dub saying, but those who are pure of heart were sent my message. That is weird. You're calling his bullies who are tormenting him pure of heart.
I have a quick question. Because we do know from episode 1, something that is never, ever, 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 ever mentioned ever again, is there are a bunch of other kids in the digital world. Are they all dead?
We don't know that, and I'm not going to answer.
Because they don't get spirits. We know there are only 10.
Maybe we find out later, Jay.
I think that would be interesting.
Yeah, no, it is an interesting thing of like where the trains go.
Because the idea that these
kids...
Did
they just do a loop? Did they just go, oh, we're back here now?
Like, the idea that these kids were not actually destined, they stumbled upon the... No, but they got Digivices. Which is the other kids might have gotten them. Otherwise, they just were in there to die.
I don't know.
Okay.
So, yeah, Truvimon shows up and he says, this was my plan all along because apparently this is how it works.
I finally get to mention it. So we've already gone over how there are many reasons it couldn't have been his plan all along.
Yes.
Okay, now the most important question. Why were there 20 episodes of the evil spirits chasing the kids if this was his plan all along?
Okay, I think that he means that this was his plan as of, like, a couple of episodes ago when he started to take matters into his own hands. I don't think it's, like, all along as in from episode 1. I think it's his plan all along for, like, 4 episodes.
But if his plan was to get all of the spirits into one place... And he has to know that the most important bait he could be holding is Ophanimon, since he clearly works it out eventually. why couldn't he have just kept all his guys back and waited for the kids to show up?
Jay, it was his plan all along, okay?
It was his plan to sacrifice all of the spirits to these kids.
Isn't that reason enough for you, Jay?
You know what? Mercurymon learned from the best.
Yeah, it's this is his goal along. The whole everything.
We have to admit, this is nonsense.
Oh yes, no, it is, but it was his goal all along. It was in the prophecy, Jay.
Nonsense.
It was in the script.
I wouldn't put it past this show to be like, it was a prophecy, by the way. I knew everything that would happen.
No, Frontier's version of it was a prophecy is it was my plan all along. And yeah, all their spirits on their spirit symbols on them start to glow, and the episode ends. Whoa.
It just seems like week to week, doesn't it? It's Mercurymon died. What do we do about that? Oh, we'll just pretend it was his plan.
What do you think of this episode as someone who's new to Digimon?
It's so bad.
I didn't think it was that bad. I thought that that we know Cherubimon's point of view.
That's literally the only redeeming factor of this episode.
Oh yes, 100%.
So if I give this 4 out of 10, that's 4 points.
See, I gave it a 6 out of 10.
Why?
Because I enjoyed it.
Did you like when they introduced Goatmon, who A, shouldn't have been there because he didn't work for Cherubimon, and B, was only there for 2 seconds to perform some pointless outcome? Or did you like when they got to Ophanimon, who asked them to come rescue her, then when they tried to rescue her, she said, "Don't worry about it, kids"? Did you like when Cherubimon said it was my plan all along, when it couldn't possibly have been his plan all along?
I like the Phantomon.
Did you like when Phantomon were so amazing and so unkillable and infinitely fast, and then the moment they were against one guy, oh, now they're stupid and bumping into each other and not teleporting around anymore? Did you like that Leomon has his invincibility still because he just evolved?
Yes.
Did you?
No.
Did you like?
No, there are a lot of...
Oh, this episode's so bad.
But it wasn't boring. It had problems, yes, but only if you think about it.
It wasn't boring when they retold you the whole story you've heard twice already.
Yes, but then it was going to be boring, and then Neomon pointed out
was it not boring when they played 4 full minutes of evolution?
That was dub exclusive. What I'm saying was...
It was 3 minutes in the sub.
Look, I liked this episode, and Cherubimon's backstory was understandable, and I would have liked more, instead of, the bits we already heard, I would have liked them to explain why beasts and humans are fighting, rather than just they're fighting because they are.
The backstory wasn't understandable if you could have solved it by just talking for 2 sentences.
Yes, and that is a problem. That, Ophanimon and Seraphimon were going off in private and saying, how can we understand him, instead of saying to him, his face, hey, how can we understand you better?
Yeah, and that comes down to
everything. But there's no story.
That comes down to does human-beast prejudice exist? And it is implied there might be, but we don't know what it is.
And maybe that's why they didn't ask, because they are actually racist.
But we have to read so much into that. And remember, this is a kid's show. They have no ability to figure that out.
Also, I hate to open this can of worms, but a lot of the time I see a lot of white people, and I am white. I am very, very white. I'm Caucasian. I'm Irish, English, Australian.
No one could have worked that out.
Yeah, I'm extremely white. So I feel like a lot of the time white people are trying to think about how people of colour feel. And I could be completely wrong, because... I'm seeing this as a white person.
Conscientious white people feel that way.
Yeah, but I feel like instead of actually asking a person of colour, like, how do you think? Or, for example, that Avril Lavigne video that came out a while ago, the Harajuku video of her, like, singing about...
Yeah.
And... I saw all these people getting super offended by it, which is, it'd be understandable, but there were all white people being offended about it. Like, oh, but how would the Japanese feel? And then you find out how the Japanese people feel. They loved it!
Don't feel offended for Japanese people. They're always like, yeah, this is the best! We love it!
And, the Japanese people loved this. I mean, I'm not arguing about whitewashing, because whitewashing is terrible.
It wasn't whitewashing, it was cultural appropriation, which is a weird topic where it's like, you can feel however you want, ask the people who are in that culture.
Yeah, but she wasn't like... I mean, I don't remember the video very well, it was a couple of years ago, but she wasn't doing anything extremely racist. She wasn't doing anything... she wasn't slanting her eyes or doing anything horrible.
She was dressed as someone who might be in Harajuku.
She was dressed in Lolita, and she was singing about Harajuku, and she was very cute, and the Japanese people loved it. And that's what I'm saying, is that's what Seraphimon and Ophanimon are doing, is that they are saying, how would the beasts feel, instead of actually asking a beast. And I'm sorry for opening that whole, racial can of worms. And, a disclaimer, I could be completely wrong, because I'm white, and I'm Australian, and I'm, So, but yeah, that's...
Your perspective is limited.
Yeah, my perspective is very limited in that sense, but that's just my impression that I got, that Seraphimon and Aphanimon were pretending, oh, we're not racist, but they were still sort of excluding him from something rather than asking him how he felt, and they were trying to think how he feels instead of asking him. And I think that there was some prejudice because of that.
I mean, if you think of it outside of that context, in the way she was telling the story, it was Trubimon stormed away from a conversation, and they're like, all right, how do we have this conversation with him in the future? There's nothing inherently wrong with that.
No, but it's sort of said in the original that they just sort of said, and so Seraphimon and I just started discussing without Trubimon how we can make him, like, we can understand him better. And I took from that they were, having private meetings.
Well, they could have come to the conclusion we should talk to him, but he saw it immediately. Now, the only thing I will give this, because I don't want to come off as hypocritical, is that there is a huge difference between me giving out to the entire crux of Koichi's storyline is he's a bit shy, and the crux of Trubimon's storyline is that he's paranoid. Paranoia is a strong enough emotion that you can understand why a story would be based on it, especially given the background of a civil war. Koichi's just a bit shy. His being a bit shy is the catalyst to him somehow becoming Duskmon.
Yes, and okay, I am quite often giving the writers too much credit, and I do say that there's a lot of problems.
You give them so much credit.
Yeah, because I'm trying to be the one who argues for Digimon here.
The writers didn't give themselves credit. They were out drinking after this. They're like, oh, we're done for the day.
Yeah.
I'll see you in 6 days to make the episode for the next day. No revisions, first draft every time.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that I like to think that sometimes the writers know what they're doing, and sometimes they're trying their hardest to have a cohesive plot.
Alternatively, I think this might be like old comic books. Old comic books were done by the art is done first, and then the bubbles are put in, and so the writers had to figure out stories that fit with the art.
Yeah, that's still weird to me.
Or like that wrote outright. So here the animation's all done. So they're like, what do we do?
Yeah.
Put in these lines and hope it goes.
That's how sometimes I thought the dub was in very early. I think it was Adventure when there were so many differences. So how do you think about this episode compared to your prediction notes and Obnoxious Synopsis?
So, they make it to the Mirror's Winning Star, and they come up with a plan. Their plan is just go inside. Junpei will play a reasonable plan and everyone ignores him. No, he never does that. Takuya suggests something that everyone... No, okay, there was no leadership battles, basically. I was wrong. This episode was bad. I don't like it. And it just takes this huge dive right at the end where it's like, it was my plan all along. And I'm like, well, this is a joke now. So 4 out of 10, let's move on.
What was the major difference between the Japanese and English version? Because there weren't that many, but the one I noticed was that...
I'm too young to fly.
When Trubimon is his, quote-unquote good version, and he's his usual pastel colours, he, is saying, don't sugarcoat this, we're not thinking about from the beast's perspective, and then in a dub, he's saying the natural order is chaos. And, he's already saying evil things, so it's already like he's evil to start with, and he's kind of like a bad person to start with. In the original, he's completely understandable, and that was basically the one difference I noticed. It was pretty much the same.
My one is right at the end, in English. He says the words, my evil will reign supreme. Now, I understand he wants to rule the world. That's one thing. We know now his motivation for everything he does is he wants the beast spirits to be on an even or superior footing than the human spirits, because he thinks that's a good thing.
Yeah.
He doesn't think he's evil.
Yeah.
Why would he call himself evil?
Yeah.
Bad guys don't think they're evil. They think they're justified.
Now that we've seen Koichi have his proper evolutions, do you think this was too plot convenient about how he just sort of got them?
Yes. Has my complaining for literally 40 minutes throughout this episode not made it clear that I think everything surrounding this is just like a Swiss cheese of a plot?
Yeah. What do you think about Trubimon's motivations? Are they good or too plot convenient?
Swiss cheese.
I like Trubimon's. I agree with you about Koichi's evolution.
You like one element.
Yeah.
One. You're letting yourself focus on it because you're very generous. I'm not. Swiss cheese.
Yeah, it is the Swiss cheese of Digimon. My screenshot of the week was Trubimon being grumpy, but he is as his good version, which is very, very cute when he's grumpy, and I kind of just want to cuddle him. It's like, duh, who's grumpy? You grumpy.
But isn't the good and evil version technically totally different Digimon?
What do you mean?
Of Chirumon. Isn't one evolved from Lotmon and one from
No, they're
Terramon?
both Lotmon.
Oh, yeah.
They're both Lotmon.
Okay.
One's virus, one's vaccine, one's corrupted by the virus.
Okay.
No, they're the same Digimon.
I still think it's Vamdemon.
What? It was
How it
Vamdemon
became
all along.
dark.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as Oikawa. It's exactly the same. Mine was when Bigmon calls and Tolmon, he calls him Bakamon. And
Yeah.
It's just translated in the subtitle to Idiotmon.
Yeah, well, that's what it
But
is.
I should have, and I just didn't want to bother because I'd already sent it to you. But like 3 seconds later, when he turns to Takuya, he's like, "How about it, Takuya-han? Huh?
Yeah,
Am
no,
I
that's-
right?" That was a good one too.
No, it's so cute.
out of place.
It's so cute.
He's not like that. It's not his character to do that.
So for Postmon Pat, Jay will read out the results.
So in our weekly poll, which is whether Koji's better with his bandana or without, Chuckmon says that they're both cute, but they like Koji with the bandana best. It's part of his overall look. Tom says the poll needs a neither option. It needs a Koji should go away option. Small Wolfie says that voting for bandana because bandana will be cool forever. You're right, bandanas are currently in style and will never go away. I see people wearing them all the time. We also have some letters.
No, we have to go for the
We'll
actual
skip
results of
to
the poll.
immediately.
So we had 20 results, 20 votes.
Nice.
And with 11 votes, without only had 9 votes.
Okay.
So thank you for everyone who voted. And remember, next week is, do you prefer Koichi's good dark spirits or bad dark spirits?
The answer is bad.
So we're
obviously.
going to be doing Postmon Pat kind of quickly because I'm on low battery power and we still have a fanfic reading to do. So.
Oh, jeez. So we got on Slack, Lonely Distance says joint custody of children ends upon divorce. In a divorce by agreement, the husband and wife must determine which parent will have custody of each child. In other types of divorce, custody is determined by the mediator or judge, with a strong preference towards custody by the mother, which is an explanation of Japanese family law. It is different here in Australia. It is, in fact, quite different. In Australia, each child has a right to equal time and a meaningful relationship with both parents, and the court will often not allow things by agreement if it doesn't provide that. It's interesting. Disaster Area 42 says that there hasn't been in any situations where emotions have been turbulent and confused enough to be manipulated, but it seems that Koichi's situation isn't very believable. First off, writing isn't good enough to pull it off. A writer should be able to put their audience in a believable situation, even if they haven't been in that situation. That's true. A good writer should be able to provoke empathy out of an audience, even in strange circumstances. I think I mentioned how Lord of the Rings is a really silly situation, but you can believe all of it as long as the characters are doing stuff that those characters would do. As long as Gandalf doesn't break into a song and dance for no reason, it's still believable.
And so, yeah, I'm fully admitting that I give the writers too much credit, but, sometimes I think we could both probably write better Frontier.
Yeah. They also go on to say that Frontier hasn't earned the right for this to be justified. They've missed too many potential emotional moments for them to be able to do this one well. It seems to be another checkbox that the writers are checking, and by episode 32 of Adventure, the characters had grown. Even in 02, they'd grown by this point.
And yeah, they didn't grow that much in 02, but the side character, the non-Daisuke characters grew
Daisuke's
more
garbage
than the, Izumi, Junpei, and Tomoki.
Ken grew tons.
Ken's the best. I love him.
On Twitter, Zane says split custody is more common in Japan, and sharing an umbrella gives an excuse to be close in proximity or physical contact, which isn't as acceptable in Japan usually. It's interesting. The Japanese culture stuff. It's sort of the one thing we're missing in our language comparison show is a really strong understanding of Japanese culture.
Yeah.
We have a passing understanding of it.
Yeah, we know that Japan.
We have one from
That's what we know.
Ellie Vorg, who says that they don't like Frontier, but they enjoy listening to the podcast about it. and that it's a good critique of fiction and where it goes wrong and how it could be better. It's fun to hear. Then you'll like this episode.
So much criticism.
They like my point of that the writers are coming up with answers to mysteries as they go, rather than when they first present the mystery.
I think that's the same for all of Digimon, though. There's a lot of times where you just kind of look at what's happening, and, you know, when they finally come to a solution, it just seems very... what's future writer's problem?
I don't think that in Try, when they revealed that thing with the young guy, that they did not have a plan for what it's going to be.
Okay, I mean like Digimon that we've watched so far, as in the original seasons of Digimon, and it's the same in Tamers.
How many more mysteries have there been?
Okay, in Tamers, when we learnt about Juri's past and her family, they were very much sort of... They didn't tell us this until it was exactly relevant, and they didn't foreshadow it that much. We knew she had a thing about destiny, but we didn't really know much about it.
But you just never see her family and stuff. It is weird the Juri became that, but I don't think that mystery was ever core to the story. Digimon doesn't really do mysteries, and I think that this was them trying and failing really badly. In episode 25, in Sephirothmon, we're told that Koji has an attachment issue because his mother died and now he's afraid to get close. Except that makes no sense, because he would have known Koichi if he remembered his mother. We've been talking about this on the show.
Yeah.
In reference to a conversation we had when I first read this. We never actually covered the issue because we were going to read it now.
Yeah.
Which is, he's attached to his mother. We mentioned earlier.
I think he's attached to the idea of his mother because, he definitely does not remember his mother and barely met her because he was presumably so young. So, we're just under the impression that he has this weird attachment to the idea of a mother because he knows he has one. He has the photo. Maybe that's why the dad says, why do you still have a photo? Because they never met.
Why would he have given him a photo?
Maybe he stole it.
From who? IRL Yuya says that it asked if the podcast is going to be covering Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains, because we mentioned at the end of the last episode, and they said that Yu-Gi-Oh! Is important to them.
So, one day we do plan on covering...
10 years from now?
Yeah, in a long time.
You have 4 shows we've planned on.
Lost in Translation Moon is the next one. Then Lost in Translation Ball. I'm not sure how we're going to cover that because Dragon Ball has 1 million episodes just for Dragon Ball alone. We'll come up with something.
How many episodes is it, do you know?
I don't know,
is it 50?
I think it might be several hundred. It's been going since the 80s. Dragon Ball, including Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, all those things. It's been going since the 80s. We
wouldn't do Super. There's no nostalgia for Super. That's new.
I've never watched Dragon Ball. There's no nostalgia for me.
In fact, we would only do Dragon Ball Z, honestly, because that's all you need.
Okay, we'll do Dragon Ball Z then.
Because that's the nostalgia one that people would listen for. Everything else is a waste of time. So we do Dragon Ball Z, and that's okay. And that's 3-4 seasons, I think.
Sailor Moon has probably...
200, you said?
I think about 200, so it's sort of maybe less than Digimon.
It's clearly less than Digimon.
Yeah, because it didn't run. It's not. It stopped eventually.
We're on episode 102 of the main show. We've done more than 200 episodes, and there's still 2 full series left, and we're not even done with this one.
Yeah, and then maybe Yu-Gi-Oh! After that. I also know Card Captor Sakura after.
Yeah, Lost in Translation Card.
Yeah, and then we'll do Lost in Translation one day.
Yeah, the Lost in Translation Card sequel.
Yeah, we'll it'll be a digital enchilada presents.
We have an Anonymon who says that Trailmon episode was necessary as a break from the serious episodes. I don't know if I agree. They're curious about my thoughts of Koichi. I think that he is tainted by his storyline. He hasn't said anything to make me like him or dislike him. He's just kind of there. Also,
I just realised we kind of skipped a discussion point, so we'll do that now.
What is it?
So the Digimon introduced in this episode.
I don't care.
Leomon.
Yeah, I don't...
Kaiser Leomon. Goatmon.
Okay, it's a goat.
And then Ophanimon, and...
This
is in relation to an Anonymon's question, which I'm getting up, is that... It's not this Anonymon, but now that you've seen Ophanimon and you've actually seen her as a character, do you still prefer Ophanimon to Holydramon?
Yes.
Okay.
Because it doesn't matter what the character is. The angel woman turns into an angel woman. The angel man turns into an angel man. There's no reason for the angel man to turn into an angel man and the angel woman turns into a dragon.
But anyway.
They're a mirror.
Yeah, continue reading.
Alright. So they curious about my thoughts on Koichi. There's no information on him to judge. And Koichi's evolution is similar to Dustmon's attack.
I don't understand.
So sort of like what I was saying, you know how Dustmon does the Sailor Moon thing?
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, it was what I was saying earlier.
Good catch. Jay, do you think... another anonymous one says, Jay, do you think they could kill a human character? I do! I think they could kill Koichi, so they could wrap the story up without Koji's home life actually changing. And, like, then they'd kill Leomon. That's what's important. And they could do it. I don't think they will kill any of the main cast, so the only one who's disposable is this new one. Pangiamon counts as the series' sacrificial lion. Does it? Oh, that's the ice one.
Yeah, it was literally Ice Leomon.
No, but you have to kill all of them. It's 100% kill rate. I'm missing a line.
No, it's the one we've already done.
Oh, right, fair enough. They used to think that Junpei, Tomoki, and Izumi were Iori level of relevance, and now it seems they're more like Kazu and Kenta. Another one says, regarding May's post about Neomon needing to talk.
The talk.
Needing the talk.
Yeah.
Which
you
talk?
know, the talk.
Oh, the talk. Neomon is probably just messing with Pokemon. He seems pretty smart. Not book smart, but like street smart. It's iffy. I don't think he's like George from Of Mice and Men, but he's iffy.
Oh, I think he's cute.
Oh, he's cute for sure.
I like the fact that sometimes we see that Neomon and Patamon are sometimes maybe smarter than Bokumon, but because Bokumon is, quote unquote the smart one, he can't let that slide.
Bokumon just has book smarts. We know that. He's a huge nerd. On Reddit, we have one from Dak and Jackster who says that Trubamon was brainwashing Koichi from the start, so it makes sense that he can be manipulated, even though logically he shouldn't be mad at Koji. And Re-Atmon, they enjoyed the Purorymon episode. It's fluffy, presumably the female Purorymon episode, the new one, but it's nice to see other characters in the light. Dokamon hasn't previously had any stories about just him. It would have been better if the app stayed deleted, though. It would have been bittersweet. And I agree. And the Eri/Dokamon does have a boyfriend/girlfriend vibe, which is interesting if he wasn't a small Sonic the Hedgehog with robot arms. It's just a bit weird.
But I love Sonic the Hedgehog with robot arms. He's the best character.
Great, but do you want to bang him?
No.
There you go, it's over. On With the Will, we're going from Jay Ukiyo, who says that they feel like there are good ways to draw bandanas on anime characters. Koji is a bad example. His head looks conical when he has it on. I looked at it today, I'm like, no bandana looks like it's that shape. That doesn't exist. And they agree with everything said in the latest Applebee's episode. Literally everything. And they nodded along so hard it caused an injury.
So we are sorry for causing you pain.
What did we say that was required this much agreement? Just that it was bad?
Yeah.
Alright. We got one from Chalkmon, who says that Frontier 31 was mediocre filler. The funniest part was when Izumi and Tomoki were holding each other in fear, and when Izumi grabbed onto Tomoki's straps, I imagine that says.
Yeah.
And how the Trailmon had facial hair because it was old.
I didn't even notice that the Trailmon had facial hair. I thought it was just dirt, so that's a cute pickup.
And episode 32 was okay. They said Tomoki almost left his hat behind. Pokemon calls out the attack on Nemon. Rubber Banter, Gampachi! They liked Takuya's flashbacks. It didn't translate as well in the dub. If Koichi knows that Koji was told...
Would you like me to continue reading? Because you're clearly struggling. So if Koichi knows that Koji was told that his mum was dead, why is he mad at Koji? And I just think it's one, possible plot convenience, and two, he saw such a perfect life coming from Koji, and he was having this struggling life where he was looking after his mum, who was having to force herself to go to work. So I think he was just having this envious sort of like, why wasn't I chosen? Why didn't Dad want me? Why did we split this way? Why did I have to have this life? Why did it have to happen? I think he's just sort of, I don't know, wondering why that didn't happen.
And I hate Koji. It's all his fault.
And then Chakmon says that Trailmons are designed like regular trains, so what's with the monorails? Are rails not necessarily as Jay suggested? And possibly. Chakmon then says the D-Scanner is their favourite Digivice, and it has a code scanning feature which is cool, but it only really works when the plot wants something, and yeah, it happens a lot in Frontier when there's something that only works when the plot says it can work now, and only happens because the plot says, oh, that can happen now. And then Chakmon says that, regarding our Appley episode 30 of Atmon was pretty boring filler. And it's sad that we're getting that from Atmon, because Atmon has so much promise. Then WildWing64 says they enjoyed episode 31 of Frontier. It was useless filler, but it was still silly and entertaining. It wasn't as good as the Bergamon episode, but it was more enjoyable than most episodes of Frontier. And that's really sad that the filler episodes are the best episodes of Frontier. And I still think the Bergamon episode was one of, if not the best episode of Frontier.
I don't remember liking it.
Well, I do, because I liked it. And then WildWing64 says the writers seem to forget that Takuya has a younger brother sometimes, even though this is mainly his only trait besides being a generic hero. And the advice and encouragement that gives Koji actually shows some depth for Takuya.
When does they forget that he has a younger brother?
And
he often talks about it.
It only comes up when it's plot convenient.
That's how most conversation topics come up, when they're relevant.
On Gmail, SP says that they agree with May about Koichi being convinced by Cherubimon to fight, and how we had that discussion in the last episode about how Cherubimon was manipulating his feelings. Then SP says that Koichi was jealous of Koji's life and watched him having a perfect life with his dad, new mum and dog, while his own home life involved his mum forcing herself to go to work. Which, it's kind of what I said before, it's sort of, you know, he's jealous of this perfect life that Koji seems to have.
Yeah, it was so nice. His parents don't have to work. He just gets money for free somehow.
SP then says the rides are bad most of the time, but maybe there are some good moments in there too, and it'd be a shame for Jay to miss them.
When they finally show up, I'm sure I'll try to find them.
Kylone says, congratulations on creating over 100 amazing episodes, and this podcast brings them joy, and we're really glad to hear that. Thank you.
To somebody.
And then they say that the revelation that a huge part of Trubimon's initial motivation was basically equal rights for Beast-type Digimon is really intriguing, which I agree with.
Assuming the rights were uneven in the first place, which I don't think they were.
I wish they explained it better. Then Kylone says this should have been built up better by the show, and I completely agree.
Maybe in the world, when they meet other Digimon, it becomes obvious that the social situation is, like, tenuous. It is never, ever discussed. Like, you'd think it's a current social issue. This happened 2 weeks ago in the digital world, this big civil war.
Then Kylone suggests that maybe Trumon should have started off being really reasonable and then losing sight of what happens instead of just being power-hungry, and then that the implied love triangle between the three angels feels sudden. It's okay-ish, but it isn't shown to be Trumon's sole reason, since his political views seem to be the main factor.
Is it implied if it's only Zoe being like, was he in love? And no one saying anything?
Yeah, well, no one reacted to it. And then Kylone says that they would have preferred it if Izumi had just not said anything.
I agree. Alright, everybody, join us next time for the next episode of Love Tyrant, Takuya and Koji's Evolution Revolution.
Or Turn the Spirits into One, Takuya and Koji's Ultimate Evolution.
No.
What?
Are they gonna jogress?
I don't know.
And EK Babby.
Thank you. Or The Fight Towards Victory, Confrontation at Cherubimon's Castle. So, very happy birthday to patron supporter Kaidawashi.
Happy
birthday. For Weekly Wonders, I'm just going to say Persona again because that's all I've been doing. I'm so sorry for being boring. And I can't just say chocolate again because chocolate's great, but no, Persona 5 is great. What about you?
I'm wearing the new digital enchilada sweatshirt.
You can't just Weekly Wonder
really
us.
Comfy, and it's great. This is what I did this week. I put on this shirt.
Yeah, you did that today. You did that like an hour before recording. Not even, like 10 minutes before
Also,
recording.
I'm back into playing Street Fighter 5,
Okay.
and I've been really... Oh man, I miss fighting games so much. Oh, I miss them so much, and I'm trying to learn it, and I'm really bad. But like, it's this feeling of accomplishment when you beat someone, and you're just like, oh, Empire-san!
Yeah.
Caesar kick!
So join us after the credits. Well, I'm not even sure why I wrote credits. The outro music.
Are there credits?
Sort of,
The Patreon things are credits.
Yeah, this part are credits, but the music part is the outro. For Chapter 11 of the Fanfic continuation, the link dump's linked in the description, and you can find our screenshots of the week and our weekly wonders, which are also linked in the description and in our link dump. You can contact us to stay updated. You can email us at LostinTranslationmon@gmail.com, or you can comment on this episode or message us on SoundCloud. You can follow us on @TranslationMon on Twitter, and you can find us on LostinTranslationmon on Tumblr, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. We have a discussion thread on With the Will and a red thread in this Digimon subreddit, and we'd really appreciate if you would review us on iTunes, Stitcher, or whatever podcast listening app thing that you listen to us on. And we also have a website, and you can vote there on our weekly poll. And this week it is good dark spirits versus evil dark spirits. You can donate to our Patreon, which is linked in the description, and on our website from as little as $1 a month. And $1 a month gets you access to our listener Slack chat group, but higher levels get you exclusive notes, information, early and unedited episode recordings, the ability to suggest discussion topics, Skype calls with May and Jay, and more.
And thank you to our current Patreon supporters, Sam Krieger, who has a podcast called The Moncast, which talks about Pokemon and Digimon. Stevie, who is also Stevie Patamon on Tumblr and takes commissions for Digimon and cartoon mashups. Wu Qinglong, who you can find at twitch.tv/Wu Qinglong. Metalbumamon, Joe, Anime Guy, who is Anime Guy Kurosaki and the number 1. Chuckmon, Ishbal Bumba, Hiro Lado, who is at Hiro Lado on Twitter. Jason Morosky, Ryuchi, who is Frost Magic on Archive of Our Own. Stephen Reeves, who is at WildWing64 on Twitter. Kaidawashi, happy birth again! Mac, Noam, Riku, Red and Garen from Breakfast with Digimon, which is another Digimon podcast. You can find her on SoundCloud. Chisai, who you can follow at Chisai236 on Tumblr. She's very good. Currently wearing art of this, actually.
Yeah, and I have a sticker on my laptop and a sticker on my Warhammer case, and I'm wearing a sweatshirt with
I love this
Digital
art.
Enchilada. So good.
Corey Kyle, the Lady Bugman, whose anime blog you can read at baggoopuragu.wordpress.com. Small Wolfie, who's on Tapastic as Small Wolfie, has a comic there called Eden of Melancholy. Tom, Glitchgoat, Azrael McCool, and Nicholas.
You can also make a one-off donation on PayPal, which you found linked in the description. It's paypal.me/Digimon. Make sure to listen to us with the podcast. We'll see you guys next time, but join us after the outro music for a fanfic. Bye!
Time to die! That rhymed.
Boop.
So no, time to fly!
I'm too young to fly.
僕たちが新しい風を起こそう無邪気なままで
Okay, let's go. Off you do, the ready thing.
Maisie sighed. Her
Wait,
arm...
no, read the chapter title.
Okay.
I couldn't come up with a chapter title, just a forewarning.
Chapter 11, Exuberance. Sorry, it's not double. Exuberance. You've actually spelled things correctly. I don't know why you've ruined it for me.
Because I want to write things... I was told to write things properly.
Let me just move this over here so I can actually read it. Maisie sighed, her arms wrapping around Moosemon's neck.
What?
It's called Moosemon! Ah, it's dumb!
That's a real Digimon.
I know, it's stupid though. She buried her face in Moosemon's warm fur.
Oh, yes, I forgot I was doing the voices. Through the mountains.
She moved her face up and out of the fur and turned her head slightly to look at Vemon.
The mountains sound good. There's cover there.
Maisie's voice trailed off. As though she turned her head further to look behind her, the darkness was now a speck in the distance. Vemon nodded and looked at Maisie.
You're having trouble reading today.
No,
Jay.
when I see speech, next thing, someone nodded. I'm beginning to laugh.
Shut up. I've heard things about this mountain. Underground caverns and caves under the mountain. I have also heard that those mountains have some special treasure or power or something. Maybe we can look for that while we're there. It could help us fight the fury. My mouth did a typo then. What do you think, Moosemon?
Moosemon murmured something that sounded like a tired agreement.
Hey, Moosemon, what's up?
Maisie began stroking Moosemon's neck gently. Moosemon began to slow down. Her breathing was uneven.
So sorry, can't.
This was all that Moosemon could manage before she began to glow and shrink back down to Hawkmon, causing both Maisie and... Why can a moose fly?
It's not flying.
I thought it was. Causing both Maisie and Vemon to land on top of her.
Sorry.
She said, again squirming from underneath Maisie. Maisie got up and bit her lip. She looked to the mountain.
We could walk.
Vemon laughed and put both her hands on her hips, smirking proudly.
Have you forgotten? I can armor evolve too. The benefits of having two Digimon.
Vemon paused before laughing again.
I'm better, of course.
Maisie unclipped her D3 from her belt and grinned.
All right, show me what you're made of.
She held out her D3 and aimed it at Vemon.
I bet whatever armor form I'll take, I'll look super cool.
No, say it correctly.
Super cool. Digi-armor energize! Veemon Armored Digivolve 2!
The crest of hope shone brightly over Veemon's body as shadows of Patamon, Angemon, Holy Angemon, and Seraphimon rushed past.
Sagittariumon, the greatest hope on Earth. I'm showing you a picture of Sagittariumon now, by the way.
That's lame! That is so lame. Oh, it's gonna die. Sagittariumon stood proudly, the feeling of a hero giving her confidence. She smiled and looked at Maisie and Hawkmon.
Well,
She spoke with a booming voice.
do I look super cool? No.
Can you show me that again and just point where the pink ribbon would go?
The pink. Oh, that's fine. With the pink ribbon would go. The pink ribbon would go. See that little holy
that's-
ring? Yeah, she's got a pink ribbon there instead.
Yeah. Maisie's expression was blank and void of emotion,
Not in the slightest.
Hawkmon added. Sagittariumon's pose cracked and she dropped her knees.
Oh, why not? You look like somebody who skipped every day at the gym except... no. Okay, I miswrote that. What it should say is, you look like somebody who has gone to every day at the gym except for has skipped arm day.
She just said has skipped after.
Yes, I know. I miswrote that completely.
You have to keep reading.
And yes, so now I've lost my thank you, Jay. You hold a heavy bow, but your arms are still the same width as when you were Veemon, maybe skinnier. His arms are very, very thin. Look at that arm, and then look at his legs.
Yeah, I see it. Maisie replied, nodding slowly.
Yep, definitely not cool. Moosemon is cooler.
Hawkmon's expression, his accent has gone away, and pose
I can't do
mimicked
voices.
Maisie's. Sagittariumon frowned.
Well,
You also can't do capital letters at the beginning of things people say.
Shut up.
Ever. It's
Well,
insane.
I'll make his voice miming. Well, I guess you make your own way to the mountain then.
Her voice was cracking slightly. Her feelings were obviously hurt.
I do look cool.
She murmured and turned around and began to gallop towards the mountains.
Should I feel bad?
Say it again.
Should I feel bad?
Maisie looked at Hawkmon, her voice full of concern. Hawkmon began to laugh in response, shaking her head.
Nah.
Maisie removed her goggles from her head and began to clean them with her shirt.
Well, let's follow her.
Maisie smiled and turned to Hawkmon.
Hey, Hawkmon, can you evolve now?
No.
Why? Do you even have to ask that? I'm tired and can't evolve. We're not walking. Clearly we are.
Maisie grumbled something under her breath, and the two began to walk forward.
Why are you saying vegan?
It's funny! Sagittariumon turned around to check on the two. She smirked and began to speed up.
That'll teach them for saying I'm not cool.
She blinked a few times as she spotted something approaching her.
That looks interesting.
She grinned as she sped into the distance towards the mountains. Soon she became a small speck on the horizon. The two had been walking in silence for quite a while before Maisie broke it with a frustrated whine.
Can you carry me? I'm half your size at least. You should carry me.
Maisie grunted.
Wait.
Maisie began to peer into the distance. She gasped and a huge smile took over her face.
Sagittariumon's back.
Hawkmon tapped herself on her beak softly.
Well, of course she is. She probably realized how uncool she looked and felt bad about leaving us behind. Hey, Sagittariumon!
Maisie called out, both hands in the air, waving furiously.
I'm sorry!
Sagittariumon continued to race towards the two. She seemed to speed up, her shape in the distance becoming clearer. As Sagittariumon's shape became larger, the shape of the mountains in the distance appeared to shrink. Maisie lowered her hands.
Something's wrong.
Hawkmon flew off to get an aerial view. She gasped and then returned to Maisie.
The mountains? They're being destroyed. They seem to be eroding and becoming like a canyon. Like a canyon?
Maisie repeated, unsure what Hawkmon meant.
Like nothing there.
Sagittariumon came to a screeching halt next to Maisie.
Get on.
She grummed,
Wow.
stomping her back hooves on the ground angrily. Hawkmon perched herself on Sagittariumon's head, and Maisie struggled to pull herself up, causing Sagittariumon to lower herself slightly to assist Maisie.
Now who's not cool?
Sagittariumon mumbled to herself. Maisie chose to ignore this.
What happened up there?
Sagittariumon shrugged, causing Hawkmon to momentarily lose her balance.
1 minute, mountain. The next, less mountain. And
That's
I'm running
the best
this
thing
way.
you've ever written.
What?
That's the funniest line you have ever done. I like that one legit. And okay, continue, sorry.
And I'm running this way, so the void doesn't get me. I feel like there was some important information in there.
Hawkmon fluffed up her wings and readjusted her placement on Sagittariumon's head.
The void?
Maisie wondered.
Something ate the mountain. The Fury probably saw us coming this way.
Maisie's eyes went wide.
The Fury knows we're here?
Sagittariumon shrugged again, and Hawkmon gasped, once again losing her footing. This time Hawkmon decided it was probably safer to ride on Sagittariumon's body rather than on her head.
But this powerful thing you mentioned, is it still here? There? I sensed a great power, so I'd say yes. In the depths of the new canyon, plus that's our path now, if we're going that way.
Hawkmon peered into the distance.
Yes,
She began.
but it could be dangerous.
Maisie thought for a second.
Well, what are our options? We're already going in this direction, so let's continue and check out the power in the mountains and then continue on to Wind Village.
Hawkmon took flight.
I'm going to get an aerial view of this, to survey the area. Maybe there's a good path we should take.
Hawkmon flew up for a few moments and then landed on Maisie, digging her small talons into her shoulder, causing her to yell.
It looks like there's a lake path around the base. Well, what used to be the base of the mountain, so we can go there to observe. Yeah, but I saw the canyon, and it looks like we could go straight into the underground caves underneath the mountain. That's where the power will be, I'm sure.
Sagittariumon interrupted.
That's how you spell interrupted.
I think there's 2 R's.
Spell check didn't highlight
Am I
it.
wrong about that? I could be. Hawkmon proudly.
Well...
Hawkmon began shooting an aggressive glare at the back of Sagittariumon's head before turning to Maisie and smiling sweetly.
What do you think, Maisie?
To be continued.
So, Patreon supporters will be asked in our Slack chat to vote on how Maisie would answer. Lake around what was the base of the mountain, or straight into the canyon to the underground caves. All paths and voting and discussions will occur in the TransLationmon channel on our Slack, and you can join in from as little as $1 a month, and that's just access to our Slack chat group. So, yeah, that was Chapter 11. I'm sorry that it's bad, except for that line, apparently.
One moment mountain, next moment less mountain.
We'll see you guys next time. Bye!
Bye. I also like that one line where you're like, Maisie chose to ignore this.
Maisie chose to ignore this.
I honestly think there's like a line in my book that's almost exactly like that.
Well, clearly you copied me, so...
Right, since I finished my book last month.
Nah. I'm the best.